Be a star on Sunset. Enter the Actors Billboard Marathon. Reach for the stars, screen test, and a free car. Starting December 1st, 20 selected actors and actresses will compete in a living Billboard Marathon on Sunset Boulevard. That's right, living. And if you can stay up on the billboard longer than anyone else, you'll win all prizes plus a national publicity. To enter, lots of national publicity. To enter, send your resume and photo to the Billboard Marathon, care of the Goddard Company, 8833 Sunset Boulevard, Suite 400, Los Angeles, California, 90069. No walk-ins or telephone calls. Deadline for resume and photos is November 5th. Will you obey all laws when living on the billboard?
I hate you and your fucking noodle posse.
People love noodles. It's just a fact of Cheap Show you're going to have to learn to fucking accept.
Cheap Show. Off-brand brand off, off-brand brand off. Cheap Show. It's the price of shite. Paul Gannon. Eli Silverman. Welcome to Cheap Show.
And I go and I nuzzle.
Hello, welcome to Cheap Show. It's a very special edition of the podcast. I'm Paul Gannon.
I'm Eli Silverman. This is the Winkie special.
It's the Winkie special, which sounds a little bit weird without context.
Birthday
but,
Winkie
it's our
special.
Winkie special. It's our birthday Winkie special.
I'd like
something
done to my Winkie.
On your birthday?
Yeah.
Is this really the time and the place to put a request out?
It's not. Sorry, it's not. You go on, Paul. You go on. Sorry.
So, to celebrate 5 years of this bloody podcast's existence, we thought we would spend one episode talking about something that came into our lives about a year or so ago and has lingered ever since, and it is the Winkie. In episodes 114 and 115, Eli went vinyl shopping, and what did you come across?
Well, a magazine, but then I went out to the shop and...
Great. So, you know when I said before we started recording, we're going to keep this reasonably moderate so newcomers would find it appealing and not just quickly go into the spoff material.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Pace yourself, mate. You're getting excited.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, so there is, obviously, long-time listeners will know, Paul, there is a section of the show, Silverman's Platters, where we try and find unusual and novelty records. It's one of the things we do, isn't it? I mean, years ago, before even the podcast, I had a character called Mike Elanius, who was like a specialty novelty and crap record DJ.
Yeah, and you used to play them at the Geekatorium comedy nights, and you would kind of MC the interval.
Yeah, that's right. So I've always had an interest, especially for 7 inches that are unusual, novelty or one-off tie-in things. I like tie-in records and stuff. So on the day in question, I was in Reckless Records.
I like the fact that you're talking like you're in a defence at a court case or something. On the day in question, Your Honour.
Reckless Records in Soho, which you know, they are actually an excellent record shop, and they have a miscellaneous section. They've got like a comedy exotica miscellaneous section where you find a lot of these weird records and they're reasonably priced. And on that day, Winkie winked at me. I thought, what on earth is that? And the sticker that they'd put on in the record shop in Reckless said French Electro. So I was intrigued. I was intrigued by the cover and by the promise of French Electro because it's a good genre. So...
Fair enough.
I didn't know, and I think it was £3 or $3.50. So not dirt cheap, but it was in very good condition, and has a lovely.
But it's a very striking album, single cover, because it is of this microchip face with a red eye and a green eye, and I can imagine that being eye popping to some extent.
Yeah, it is very. It's a very eye catching design, that's for sure. Which is what they all must have thought at the time, mustn't they? Because they thought this is going to sell because it's so sort of, it's well branded. I just think the issue more than anything else is the product itself. You know, I mean, like,
well,
yeah.
And this is where we're getting to, because what began as a find for the vinyl segment of the Cheap Show podcast turned into a rabbit hole that kept getting deeper and deeper and odder and more random the more we looked.
Basically, we noticed when we were reviewing the record that there was a trademark next to the Winkie, the title Winkie, didn't we? So
yeah,
and that was the little clue that opened the rabbit hole, so to speak, wasn't it? That was
because that was such a strained metaphor that I'm not sure if it sounded filthy or not.
It could be. I'm restraining myself, Paul. This is serious, Eli. I'm not going to say anything about getting a vice and, like, you know, leveraging open an awfully wet rabbit hole or anything like that.
Right, so we are going to move on and explain to you that this episode then is an exploration of the mystery of a French single, the confusion of a pointless toy, the madness of a promotional enterprise, the famous people who walk in and out of the story randomly, the people upon it. We are going to spend all of this week's birthday episode talking about the Winkie, the story that I'm surprised no one knows about, considering.
Another thing that occurred to me, Paul, is Winkie slang for a penis all over the world, or is it just British?
I think it's a British thing, but I also presume it probably travels very easily and is understandable.
Yeah, it's got a certain ring to it that makes it sound like a penis word, doesn't it?
Yeah, because there are people we speak to throughout the course of this episode. We have interviews and we have clips and all sorts, but they all come across like, yes, it was kind of a dumb name.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it did also sell the product. So, with that said, Eli, are you ready to begin?
I'm ready to do a deep dive into the Winkie with you, Paul, on our birthday. Really? Let's go. Let's deep dive into the Winkie, out the rabbit hole, round the Winkie hole. All dance round the Winkie hole.
You know what? You just could have said yes, Eli. That would have been perfectly fine.
Yes!
In that case, strap in, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a long one. This is the story of Winkie. Right, so to tell this story, Mr. Silverman,
yes,
I have to start in the way a podcast we're both fond of would start themselves. As in, we're going to rip off the dollop, basically.
You're going to read it. You're going to shout a date, are you?
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
1955. Or 54, we're not quite sure, is where this story begins. But I think it's 1955. 54. I think it's 1954.
We don't have an actual date.
No. We have 1954. That's when we presume the man behind this story was born. So in 1954, Lawrence Lynn was born to Robert and Betty Lynn. Now, before we go any further, Eli, very little about Dr. Winkie, Lawrence Lynn, is known, other than the reports about him and his own self-promotion. Okay?
Now, why does he have if I'm right in thinking, he's Chinese and his parents are both Chinese, is that right?
They are, but this is where a lot of guessing comes in, because I've read a lot of articles, and if we quoted every single one, we'd be here all night. But I pieced together that Robert and Betty Lynn, Chinese, maybe they changed their name to fit in and be more American.
That's what it sounds like.
After the Second World War.
It sounds like they chose anglicised names.
Now, there's nothing on Robert Lynn that I could find, but Betty Lynn, we do know, made her own fortune in the printing industry.
Okay.
But that's
in the States.
all we know.
In the States, on the west coast of the States. Is that right?
The States. Yeah. We believe San Francisco at this point, but we're not sure because, again, everything I don't know for a fact is a guess at this point. So the reason I can put this together is because in 2000, there was an independent news article, right? And this article was about the singer, Eddie Fisher. Do you remember Eddie Fisher, a singer? Popular in the 50s?
I remember Climby Fisher.
No, this is
what was that
Eddie
Climby Fisher one?
Didn't he...
That's good. Climby Fisher's good.
Can we stay on topic,
sure.
please?
No.
Out of all the episodes, we need to focus.
Give me an example of Eddie Fisher, an Eddie Fisher song.
Eddie Fisher songs. I'm using Google on the fly. Cindy, oh Cindy, I'm walking behind you. Oh my papa. I don't know. Eddie Fisher, a popular singer, very, very rich with a string of women behind him. Apparently, he was married to Debbie Reynolds.
Okay.
And cheated on Debbie Reynolds with Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay.
Eddie and Debbie's child was Carrie Fisher, Star Wars.
Oh.
Princess Leia.
Okay, now.
And she said if she knew about her dad's sexual activity, she'd have her DNA fumigated. I think that's what she said.
Really? Because it all came out later, did it? How much he was sleeping around?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So eventually, at some point, Eddie Fisher and Betty Lynn married. So we don't know what happened to Robert. Maybe he died as a divorce. We don't know. But Betty Lynn married Eddie Fisher.
So this is after Lawrence was born, obviously. Lawrence is the son of...
Much later, yeah. He is the son of Robert and Betty.
But Betty was the money maker in that marriage. It was her business. Is that right?
We can only presume, as we go on to find in this story, Lawrence Lynn. I mean, look, reading between the lines in some of the stories that I've read about Lawrence Lynn, it looks like he was at least affluent. Obviously, he lived a very affluent lifestyle, but at the same time, he seemed to be well educated and quite clever. He went to a very, good school, and from what we can gather now. What I also think is that he used his mum's money to pay for a lot of follies.
Yes.
Business enterprises, things that he could potentially try out because he's rich and why not try it?
Classic baby boomer.
Yeah, pretty much, actually. And funnily enough, when it comes to him, it's like there's not much about what he did beforehand. I checked his records on a website, and a reader got in touch with me who I've forgotten the name of now, who sent me a lot of information about him. And it looks like he had business after business after business, open and close, open and close.
Okay.
He's had an interesting life in terms of his businesses.
And that does suggest that he just had some kind of inexhaustible pot of money to keep opening these businesses.
Well, as we'll find out, he certainly had enough to throw around because it's alluded to that even though Lawrence owned these practices, the money came from his mum.
Right.
But this is kind of hearsay on my part, judged on what I've read. At some point, though, he wants to open a nightclub in San Francisco, and in 1985, he opens what became known as the famous DV8 Club in San Francisco. Oh, but what I didn't know about it was apparently, and this is another character who will pop in and out of the story, but Keith Haring, the artist, baptized the venue when it opened in 1984 with a massive load of murals, and it became known as the place where dance music was born in San Francisco. It's like that's where dance music came from Europe over to the East Coast through to the West Coast. It's like it was popularized at that venue.
Well, and when you say dance, you mean when did he open? What year did he open DV8?
1985.
Okay, so we're well into the early house music era.
Yeah.
It's not... Dance music had been big in Frisco, let me tell you, Paul, for years and years.
Yeah.
Because you've got the huge gay community, and the gay community was one of the scenes where disco emerged from. So, it's got... What I'm saying is there's a pedigree of dance music in Frisco before 85. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, it became the home to it. I mean, think of it as like the hacienda of San Francisco.
So it was the hippest club. It was the Studio 54, and that...
Well, we're going to get into that because just to give you a bit of reference, there's a Rolling Stones article from, I think, late 80s. And I can't remember the context of it now, but it says this little quote. Up on the West Coast, Dr. Winkie has been throwing one big party at his 20,000 square foot club, DV8, since 1986. A San Francisco native and a college dropout. Well, there you go, college dropout. Lawrence Lynn made his first million in the printing business when he was 23 and went on to invent the Winkie, a red and green microchip for the lapel.
But his mum was in the printing business as well.
We can presume he was given a role in it somewhere and made his own money somehow. Okay. Maybe she gifted him a business.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing that I think paints a bit more about his character. It says, recently he bought the Doobie Brothers tour plane and built a restaurant, the Caribbean Zone, in and around it. But Dr. Winkie still spends every night at the DV8 Club. Everyone thinks it's very glamorous work, he says. You try staying up late with people. It tends to be hard work.
Yeah. Hard work, which is alleviated, the tiredness at least, by cocaine.
Yes.
By copious amounts of cocaine.
Now...
it's hard
for
work.
Whatever reason.
What hard work it is. I get up at 6 in the evening, go over to my club, do a gram, and fucking get blown by a prossy. I'm weeping for you, Lawrence. You know what I mean? What a hard-working rich boy.
Well, here's the thing, right? It feels like, as we'll discover in this story, I think Dr. Winkie liked being an outsider, but of just a very affluent outsider. I think he revelled in being the alternative to what was popular and trying to create his own. I get the impression that on the East Coast of America, when that Mondo New York movie was released, looking into the kind of underground life of the artists on, in Soho and things like that, where people like, Divine or RuPaul probably started out at that time. I get the impression he wanted to bring that over to the West Coast and San Francisco. So I think the reason why he started getting involved with people like Keith Haring was because he liked the association.
And Keith Haring very much in that New York scene, wasn't he? The 80s New York scene.
Yeah. I mean, we will cover him in a bit more detail later on the story. There's an article from 1986, The Sentinel in LA, and it's specifically about the nightclub scene in San Francisco at this time. I'm not going to read all of it out. I'll read the opening bit. It goes, Dr. Winkie has unveiled a new nightclub called DV8 at 540 Howard. Winkie plans an 8-room, 3-floor glitz emporium. I can't even say that. Emporium slated. I can't. It's
Just
a word.
say the whole sentence again.
I'm not going to say them again at all, to be fair at this point. Fridays through Sundays, a spot Winkie hopes will provide an internationally established dance place here in San Francisco.
Okay.
But what the article goes on to say is that what makes his nightclub better is that it's more exclusive. It will cost you $10 a pop on Friday and Saturday nights and $8 every other night. Now, we're talking 1986, so that's quite costly.
Yeah.
Especially if you want the $450 general membership. And then there's a VIP,
Yes.
So it's like a subscription service to be part of this scene.
But again, Paul, this just makes me think he was kind of ahead of his time. This is just like, like the Fire Festival or something like that. It's this sort of people getting into the act of selling luxury, selling the idea of exclusivity rather than it being a grassroots, that he was so into dance music or he was so into the, anything else. It just seems like a ploy.
Well, this is the thing. There's a publicist and there's a character I think will pop in and out later in the story called Jennifer Jones, who was Lawrence Lynn's lackey, which I shouldn't have chosen as a sentence. But she would be, I believe, like his right-hand man in all of this. And like they talk about the article where it's like it's very secretive. At this point in time, the club is just about to open. It's very secretive.
And what year is this? 86?
86.
And when was the Winkie toy first introduced?
Well, again, this is the timeline, isn't it? We're talking 84 was when the competition started.
Okay.
85 was when it kind of ran its
course.
course.
So the club happened after the Winkie episode,
or at the same time.
All right.
This is where, without racing ahead in the story, the timeline's all a bit fudged as to when and what happened. Right?
Okay.
Goes on to say, Winkie, when it came to who's allowed in, Winkie said they have to be beautiful, act beautifully, and carry themselves off with beauty. This isn't meant to be discriminatory, but we're just trying to create an atmosphere conducive to the public we wish to have.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's, well done. That's very good. Yeah, do you see what I mean? It's also surfacey. It's also like, well, he's a sham.
It goes on to say.
He's a scam artist.
Well, is he a scam artist? Or is he just an idealist with too much money and not enough business sense? Because that kind of feels more accurate.
For me, wanting to sell something just off the back of it being exclusive, and that's the main thing you're buying. You're buying the feeling of exclusivity or the feeling of, being with the beautiful people. Well,
it's like a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
If this was today, he'd be doing a Kickstarter Winkie campaign. It's like, it's all those people who go, my Kickstarter campaign is I'm going to give you a watch with no clock face on it, just so you don't have to think about time.
Yeah.
You think, it's that kind of thing.
If he was opening this club today, he'd have all the Instagram models all, adorned over some kind of plexiglass stage, I don't know, pouring champagne over their young nubile bodies, maybe rubbing their groins together tastefully.
You're all right, calm down, mate. Calm down. PG, mate, PG.
Right, is it? Have we gone PG?
No.
But, Paul, another point I'd just like to make quickly is this whole thing with the club as well as the Winkie idea, it seems slightly ahead of its time. His ideas do seem, do you know what I mean?
There's a sense of P.T. Barnum to it.
Yeah. But his ideas do seem to be forerunning trends that became much bigger. You know,
Yeah. Well, the article goes on to say Winkie has definitely paid plenty for the club's look. A combination of trompe-l'oeil murals, faux marble columns, walnut and wood bars, and chandeliers, all in the Keith Haring room where live acts will perform. There's an act who will become famous for the venue called Tom Sex, I think his name is.
Okay.
There's an exclusivity to some of the bars, like some floors you can't get into without the VIP access. There are other opposing comments in this article from other nearby bars saying it's not competition because it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous venue. Right. So we're going to keep things, open and public and nice and
for the
affordable.
common party people, not. Yeah.
However, if you do want to go to DV8, it says in the article, ordinary folk can buy tickets to a live event for alternative acts like opening entertainer New York's John Sex, German industrial noise band Estrazenth Lubaten, and rocker Charlie Sexton, to name a few.
Why are they all called Sex? Mr. Sex, John Sex. Who's the next act? The Sexos. What's coming up?
Yeah.
Sex Boy featuring sex with
it's
Sexomatic.
Like edgelordy.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean? It feels a little edgelordy.
So, Paul, was Lynn, what was his sexual orientation? Was he an out gay man or what was he?
Well, here's the thing. All I can tell you from another article was that there was a second wedding. The first we'll get to in time, but there was a second wedding at the DV8 club.
Okay.
And that was for him and a lady called, I can't remember her first name. I've written the name down, Kong, her surname was.
Okay.
And so there was a marriage between these Kong family and the Lin family, and it took place at the DV8 bar. So he did have children, I believe. He has had spouses. So it's the 80s. He might have had a bit of fun, but as far as we know...
No, I was just wondering what
what
his deal was vis-a-vis that. And the club wasn't an exclusive... Just because I know San Francisco's got the biggest gay, scene in the US, doesn't it? So I'm just wondering what the sort of... It was what was going on with that.
Well, then it goes on. Then it goes on to talk about Haring's influence on the fact that his murals were used throughout the venue, and famously so. The story goes, and I don't want to read the article; it's very long. But the story goes that Haring agreed to do a mural. Lawrence Lynn didn't really pay him, other than maybe in drugs and the exposure. But when he thought it was going to be a small mural, and Lawrence Lynn went, "No, do the whole wall." Then he got the bargain of it was called the Keith Haring Lounge and things like that. But it was like full of his art, the pop art style that he was famous for.
Again, we see this pattern with Lynn, though, of not paying,
Yeah, we'll get to that. Where considering he's rich, he doesn't like spending his own money.
He doesn't, does he, at all?
One of the murals was a cartoony 5-panel configuration featuring 3-eyed and 3-breasted monsters gobbling serpents with male genitalia. In fact, madcap New York sexhibitionist John Sex noted later from the stage, "It's nice to see famous people painting penises, don't you think? I wish there was more of it."
Well, good on you, John Sex.
Yeah.
No, but I think, do they still exist, these murals? Does the club still exist?
Well, again, we'll come to that at a certain point. But the article talking about those murals, we get the impression that basically Lawrence Lynn nicked them and they're probably in storage right now somewhere.
Wow.
So at this point, that's where Lawrence Lynn is in his life. It's 85, he's got this DV8 club, and around that time or just before, Winkie happens. And we're not sure if Winkie was meant to help with the club or whether it was another little side project, but at some point...
But was he known as Dr. Winkie before Winkie?
We don't know. I can't say for sure.
This is one of the big unexplained mysteries of this whole story, Paul. Why was he Dr. Winkie? He's already known as Dr. Winkie because Winkie happened before. So he must have become Dr. Winkie after Winkie started. After he birthed Winkie.
My belief, other than you trying to just cram in the word Winkie many times as possible...
I'm being serious.
My belief is that I think he saw Winkie as a brand. He would be brand Dr. Winkie. There would be Winkie stuff, clothing, fashion. You know what I mean? I get the impression he was trying to be, as you say, forward-thinking. Tech as fashion.
Yes.
Mr. Winkie as a brand. Dance music. This nightclub. I think it all kind of came at the same time. And I believe it was all meant to work together as one big brand whole.
Right. So, it's unified. If he's known as Dr. Winkie. But I wish there'd been some kind of medical aspect to... where does the doctor bit come from?
Well, it might be that it's a doctorate of the fine arts. You know what I mean? He might be an expert at Winkies. And so, I don't know.
Well, wouldn't it be good if Winkie was, as well as being your friend who was a little robot, it could also sort of diagnose minor ailments or something like that?
Well, we have that now in many respects.
We do. We got Fitbits and stuff. So it's all like...
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How it was the forerunner, but it was like just the idea and none of the actual...
Yeah, it was all mouth and no trousers.
Yeah, totally.
Well, in that case, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Winkie, because now it's time to talk about a toy you probably don't remember. So what is Winkie? We found the song. We discovered our route through the story is different from the way we're telling the story today. But we found the song, then we found out what the song was about. And it was about a toy called Winkie, a computer friendship. And on the front package, it just says, pin on and wear anywhere, microlights, flash red and green, official user's guide included, replaceable batteries included. And effectively what it is a small square badge that looks like, and if you want to go to our website, thecheapshow.co.uk, you're going to see video clips and pictures that accompany everything we're talking about today. There's a whole stash of images you can enjoy looking at as you listen to this if you so desire. But the Winkie badge is an electronic little microchip face, 2 little flashing lights, and you pin it on you, and it's got little... Effectively, what happens is it's got some kind of microchip in, and when you wear the badge, the contacts on the 4 corners bump against your clothing and change the flashing pattern of the eyes. That's essentially the toy, and we love it. You know, it's a tiny little thing. It comes on this little gatefold packaging. Inside is the most enormous amount of claptrap about what this toy is. So in the early 80s, because of the changes in how you can make toys became more gimmicky.
What changes do you mean, Paul?
Toys used to be cardboard and wood, right? Maybe metal. But when plastics became more adaptable, then board games changed and toys changed.
So you're talking about actual technological advances and material advances?
Yeah.
Okay.
One guy at some point invents a craze in the US called a pet rock. And it's a rock in a box, and it's a pet. It does nothing, but it was absolutely sodding huge.
Yeah, you got a birth certificate. You got certification with it, didn't you? And like a guide how to feed it or whatever as well, didn't you? All stupid stuff.
Yeah, so basically, with the pet rock, I think Winkie said, I can do better, but because I'm Dr. Winkie, I'm going to add technology to it. You know, you've also got to remember, like, at the early 80s, electronic toys were coming into fashion. There's like the video game era before the crash, you know, so we had Ataris in people's homes and arcades filled with things, you know?
Totally.
Everything was like Tron.
Yes.
And I think this toy was designed to tap into it. Now, what we don't know is who made it, who designed it. We can only guess that maybe Lawrence Lynn designed it, but whether he had the wherewithal...
It was his patent. He owned the whole concept and idea, didn't he?
There is no patent. There is a trademark for it, but there's no patent for the actual design.
Okay.
Right? So that says one thing to me. To me, and I might be wrong, is that this is technology he bought somewhere. You know, like an accidental invention, like, I don't know, Post-it notes, was someone tried to invent a glue and it wasn't strong enough, but hey, maybe it can work for notes. And then I think maybe someone invented this little microchip, realised it was pointless,
well, it's essentially,
and maybe Lawrence Lynn stepped...
Essentially, but it's like a switch, isn't it? So it's just a component that would be part of all sorts of electronic devices, and the material itself, the face of the badge, the face of Winkie, is just a bit of circuit board, isn't it? Essentially, and I think that it's just a standard piece. So it could be that, Paul, that it was invented and it was useless, and then it was just picked up by Lynn. But it also could be to do with there being an excess job lot of bits of circuit board or something, or just, you know what I mean, the materials. They could have a surplus of some materials and just think, what the fuck are we going to do with all these 2 million electric switches I've got? Do you know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And maybe Lawrence Lynn said, I'll tell you what, I've drawn a face of a microchip, I'll slap it on the front and we'll come up with the rest later.
It could be your theory, or it could be my theory, or it could be a combination of both those reasons, couldn't it? It's just, it's fascinating.
All we know is that he set up a company called Xtronics Inc. and then a company called Winkie Inc. as well to promote and make this.
I know how to make Winkie Inc.
Now, here's the interesting thing, and this is where, once again, the timeline gets on my tits with this story.
Okay. Because
we know the events to come started in 84. We know the club opened in 85, but was open on the 86.
Okay.
The trademark for this wasn't until October 1st, 1985. So months after all the crazy events that took place. So it's like he tried to trademark it when it wasn't being successful.
But also, the Winkie existed at least a year before, because the billboard, the Extronics billboard, was advertising Winkie.
In December 84.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, maybe he was just, took a long time to get it done.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't know he had to do it.
I'll tell you why, Paul. Because he was off his head on cocaine. That's right.
Well, okay, I'll be honest. I'm looking at the US Patent and Trademark Office, and it says he filed it in March of 85, which is right in the middle of the promotion.
Right.
But it wasn't given the thumbs up until October.
Yeah, it's just something you have to do, isn't it? You have to get it trademarked, and it's not at the top of your list if you're just trying to do a wild P.T. Barnum and just get it. You know, you can iron out the details afterwards, can't you? I think he wanted to push it first, obviously.
Also, it's worth bearing in mind that he got the patent for this, or the trademark, sorted whilst in the midst of the promotion. By the time it was it was given the thumbs up, the toy was dead.
Yeah. But
so
I don't think there's reasons for that, and the reasons are it's a terrible toy. I mean,
it is and it isn't, because we fell in love with it. When I decided to go online and buy one from this guy on eBay, I got one and I kind of fell in love with it. It is cute. The logo, the design of it is eye-catching and kind of,
as jewellery, it has a certain charm, but as a toy, it's terrible.
Interestingly, you couldn't call it a toy. He filed it as a trademark. He did it as wearable jewellery.
Yeah.
So he did file it under jewellery. And also
wearable jewellery as opposed to the jewellery you just put on the table.
Yeah, all right. I get. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Is that what it's called? Wearable tech, you mean?
Right.
Wearable tech. Wearable jewellery. I bought some of these new type of clothes, Paul. Wearable ones.
Right, okay, we want to move on.
All right, sorry.
Do you want to move on? Yeah. Because what I want to do is right now turn this podcast into the 18-rated version to put you in your place.
All right, sorry.
But I'm being a nice boy.
Sorry.
So anyway, we fell in love with the toy. We started talking about it on the podcast, and you look at the packaging for it, and we're not going to read it all out now. There are pictures on the website, but basically it invents this whole character, what it does, how it behaves, how you can live with it. But it doesn't do anything. No, mate, you can't do anything sexual with this unless you have a big thing about penises and meatuses.
Well, you could wedge it in your meatus or in your arse.
Right, moving on.
But Paul, isn't some of the stuff on the gatefold packaging that it comes in?
Yeah.
Isn't that sort of saying, oh, you can ask it questions, or or what does it say? I mean,
it's random in its flashing depending on how you use the contacts, but it kind of wants to say, if it's red flashing on its own, it says this. If it's green flashing on its own, it means that. So if they're both flashing at this time, it does this. It's kind of making it feel like a language when it's just random nonsense.
Yeah, and also it's got so many elements of other toys in it, because it's like an 8-ball, a magic 8-ball, or one of those fish. They're fortune-telling fish as well. It's got that aspect to it, doesn't it? As well as being sort of like a bit computer gamery, and also a bit like jewellery. It's just such a strange amalgamation of different trends.
Yeah. And again, it's like, you're meant to remember, it's not only is it fashion, but it's technology. Oh, it's the future. Yeah. It's not, but that's the conceit. I tell you what, I'll read you one part of the packaging. The Winkie ownership agreement, right? Here's what it says. Extronics Inc. hereby grants ownership of said friendly microchip, Winkie, to the following person who agrees to befriend, care for, and bring up the aforementioned chip.
Oh, yeah,
according
I promise.
to the highest standards of morality, emotional stability, and social equality.
Fucking hell. They had high hopes. They had high hopes for Winkie, didn't they? He was going to solve the fucking world's problems.
Not even Tamagotchis get this much respect, and they poo and die.
Now, that copy that you just read out, Paul, is very reminiscent of the whole pet rock thing, isn't it? Like, you care for your pet rock, and trying to sort of give it a sort of official beingness, almost saying it's a being, it's a little being,
But it's not. It's like on the back it says, get your Winkie to wash your hamster, clean your closet.
How would you wash your hamster? What the fuck is going on? Does it say wash your hamster? Paul, I've known hamster owners for all my life. I've never heard about them washing it. They take their own baths. What is going on? Wash your hamster. Use your Winkie to wash your hamster.
God, shut up. This is the kind of copy you write when you are off your sparkling tits on coke, isn't it?
It so is.
It's a coke product. Basically, to cut a long story short, a few months later, a guy who listens to the podcast called Ross Hudson very kindly sent you and I our own Winkies, bespoke Winkies, that, again, pictures on our website, that he managed to, I don't know what you call, backwards engineer his own Winkie badge.
Essentially, he did backward engineer it, because this is what I mean about it being quite a standard configuration on the actual chip, on the chipboard.
So here's the thing. I spoke to him about this because I wanted to know, what he figured out. And he said, I don't have too much to say, but he sent me this. Now, I'm going to say off the top of my head, I don't know anything of what he's talking about right now, but it makes sense to him, and it might make sense to others listening. So when I asked him about the makeup of it, the technological makeup of it, he went, this is what he said. It's quite technically impressive that it operates on just 3 volts. My guess is that the circuit inside the chip on board is a flip-flop multi-vibrator based on CMOS logic. Would you like to make a joke about multi-vibrator flip-flop?
I don't need to. I just say...
All right. Moving on. Right. CMOS, which I don't know what that is, was around well before the 80s, but it was quite expensive and almost definitely wouldn't have been used in toys. In 1984, I think it was still newfangled to some degree. TTL is the more traditional, cheaper logic family, but it uses comparatively a lot of power and couldn't operate at that lower voltage at the time, as far as I'm aware. Also, LEDs were also quite expensive at the time and not something you would typically expect to be in a toy. So thank you, Ross Hudson. You can follow him on Twitter at HossRudson if you wish to. And thank you for the badges. They are excellent.
The badges are amazing, and they have little upgrades on the original, don't they? Because they have a little switch, an actual little switch you got, so you can put it on the contacts, or you can put it on just flashing green, red. It's interesting what he says about them being very expensive at the time, and what he's saying there essentially, Paul, as well, is that he can't really figure out how they got a battery powerful enough for that. Because his version is much larger, at least twice the size of the original Winkies. But they are lovely, and they have my name on, and it's like a unique, bespoke Winkie I treasure.
We've got a nice little Winkie collection between the vinyl and the badges and all the little bits and bobs we've got, and a few other surprises, which we'll get into later. What I will do to end this segment off, though, briefly, is just to mention that, at this point, he has to sell the damn thing. And we do know it wasn't sold nationally. It was sold only on the West Coast.
Sorry, the other point I was going to say is that it seems to me a little clue about why it failed so spectacularly is because of budgets and overheads, because Ross was saying they were very expensive. So perhaps it looks like it didn't make sense in terms of a unit price sort of proposition.
And that's it, selling it on a loss, but hopefully the publicity that he was going to drum up for it would sell it. So it'd be the Rubik's Cube of 1985 or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like all we do know is that it was only sold at the billboard, which we're going to get to next, or in kind of smaller convenience store chains and things like that.
Right.
So it was a small, release. Only a few shops were selling it. So, Dr. Winkie, how do you sell this damn thing? Well, he had a genius idea. And that's where we're going to next. So, he's got the badge. He's got probably a few retailers willing to sell it. But how do you promote it? You can't really go on national TV. Maybe he didn't have the budget to make an advert for it. We don't know. But we do know that at some point, he decided to revolutionise the flagpole sitter.
So it was it was a variation on a theme.
Maybe. It's become quite common practice now with competitions like Touch the Truck, where you get 30 volunteers to put their hand on a truck, and the last one standing wins the truck. So it could take days, it could take weeks,
So it's an endurance test. But that's what pole sitting was always, wasn't it? People tried to break a record by living on a pole for as long as possible.
Yeah, there's a great episode of The Dollop all about it. But effectively, it was a craze in the early 20th century where people just sat on the top of a flagpole for fucking ages.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a different time.
But also, Paul, I think that the history of that as an activity goes back a lot further to holy men or ascetics who used to do it as part of being a monk or whatever, you know?
Yeah, weren't there stories of monks' bodies being found where they kind of self-mummified or something?
On top of a pole, yeah. On top of a thing. Like, yeah. The way that, you know, like a Sufi or something, someone will go, or a guru type will go into a cave.
Yeah.
They used to go on top of poles as well.
Well, so somehow, some way, Dr. Winkie decided to promote this in the best way possible. And to be fair, the idea he had is kind of genius. What he decided to drum up was an idea where on Sunset Strip, he would buy or rent a massive billboard, and then there would be an endurance competition where people would live on the billboard for as long as possible, and the last man or woman standing will win the prize of, I think it was a car, and a screen test. Things we'll probably get to in a little while.
And cash money as well.
What's interesting is that I found an article from, again, Rolling Stone, funnily enough, from February 1985, talking about Sunset Strip. And today, 85, billboards on Sunset Strip tell a more eclectic story. So it's kind of like a history of Sunset Strip, specifically a certain area of Sunset Strip, because it goes on for miles, but the place we all know about is where the nightclubs are.
No, I didn't know
Chateau
that.
Marmont.
I didn't know that. So it's like it goes on for a long time and there's different bits of it.
Basically, there's a stretch of it which is known because it has Tower Records on one road, it has the Viper Club, it's got all those kind of places.
That's the strip.
Playboy offices were there, I think, as well.
Yes.
But what it became also known for was its billboards, which were huge, and as the years gone on, they were great for advertising movie events and things. The article says, it is billboards, not buildings, that give the strip its special character and its special place in 20th century Americana. Although the rock revolution of the 1960s and 70s, billboards advertised the latest rock albums and loomed over the strip like alien creatures. They were enormous, oversized, the world's largest, no doubt, and their colours and images were electric in both intensity and impact. The strip was a living museum to contemporary music, its face undergoing the equivalent of radical plastic surgery with every fluctuation of the Billboard Top 100. Times and billboards change, and last year the most striking billboard on the strip featured a car. Not a photograph of a car, but an actual car dangled from the side of a billboard with a working engine. The car has long since been the quintessential symbol of Los Angeles, because obviously you need to get around. It's Freeway City, and it's the world's biggest parking lot. Now, this is where it starts talking about Winkie, because randomly the story just popped up. So this year, the article says, the most striking billboard on the strip featured human beings, live human beings. This billboard advertises something called Winkie, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the fuck that is. Dismissed.
And bears sturdy scaffolding to support the many would-be actors and actresses who have entered the 85 equivalent of flagpole sitting. They aspire to fame and fortune and spend weeks at a time sitting on the platform that runs along the bottom of the billboard. Whoever sits there the longest is supposed to win, amongst other things, a screen test. So, that's that bit of the article.
Interesting. Do you know what occurred to me just then?
What?
It's the way the writer says, Winkie, whatever that is. It's that there's an inherent problem with this competition to live on top of the billboard being a promotion for Winkie, because they're completely unconnected conceptually. And do you know what I mean? It's bad. It's bad marketing.
It says a lot about fads of the time, meaning that they haven't heard about it, so who gives a fuck? And also, there'll be something bigger and better on that billboard in 6 weeks' time, or 6 months' time in this case. So there's always a sense of, maybe today with Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, it might have caught on, but back then it was kind of like a freak show.
Yes.
I'd imagine.
A lot of aspects of this story make you think about how the whole landscape of media was different then as well, because you talk about Winkie trying to take the New York scene over to the other coast, you know?
Which we'll get to.
You know, that's only something where you'd have these separate cultures in different locations, you know, and now it's there's no sort of moving a culture anywhere. It's all everywhere. Everything is everywhere now.
I would argue there's a lot of factors why Winkie didn't catch on, and it might have been, you know, financially, his eyes being bigger than his belly. But either way, he built this massive billboard. And if you see the pictures, you can see it. It's interesting. It's massive, massive Winkie badge with big red and green flashing lights. And then along the side of it, women in bikinis, you know, painted, looking sexy.
Okay.
And then a few bits of, like, advertising for other companies bedded into that.
Oh, there is other adverts in it. Crikey.
Yeah,
Huh.
like call Bob's local convenience store for whatever. It's that kind of
Why
thing.
would you call us convenience store? I'm sorry.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's not the best example. I'm just trying to prove a point that it was low-end advertising.
Yeah. I get you. Local advertising, small stuff. Yeah.
But what I didn't notice until really recently is that if you look at the billboard, there's only one painted gentleman on the advertisement, and it is Dr. Winkie himself,
It's him.
surrounded by sexy women.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it certainly bloody looks like him.
Right.
I mean, if he designed that billboard, I can't imagine he didn't paint himself with his ego. Because I imagine he's got a friggin' ego
Well,
as
obviously he does. And does the character who you claim is a representation of Dr. Winkie himself, is he wearing sunglasses? Because I know...
Not in that picture,
Okay.
though. That's the interesting thing. He's not.
Oh, right.
And also on the billboard, there was a phone number, because the idea is, as the competition went on, whoever lived on the billboard longest, they could talk to people because they had a phone number. So you could phone.
There was a phone
the
on
billboard
top.
and
There was a
someone on-
phone up there, wasn't there? There was 2 phones on top of the up there with them.
So anyone could phone. And then there was a counter of like days gone by. So like, days on the billboard, 1,
Yeah.
2, whatever.
Yeah.
And then at some point, this advert goes out. And this is what was put in a newspaper, probably LA Sentinel or LA Times, whatever. It says, be a star on Sunset. Enter the Actors Billboard Marathon. Reach for the stars, a screen test, and a free car. Starting December 1st, 20 selected actors and actresses will compete in a living billboard marathon on Sunset Boulevard. That's right, living. And if you can stay up on the billboard longer than anyone else, you'll win all the prizes, plus lots of national publicity. To enter, send your resume and photo to the Billboard Marathon, blah, 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 blah. No walk-ins or telephone calls, deadlines and photos from resumes is November 5th. And then when we discovered this in the story, I think it kind of blew our minds that a song we'd never heard of, about a toy we'd never heard of, had an event this big that we'd never heard of.
Yeah. At this point, when we were discovering about the competition, we couldn't for the life of us think why the song was French, could we? I mean...
No.
And
But luckily,
there was no mention.
we may have an answer
We've
to
got
that
an
later.
answer coming up later, Paul, but...
Oh!
It's strange, isn't it? Because there was no mention of the song in any of this stuff we were finding out about Dr. Winkie, was there? No mention whatsoever.
To cut a long story short, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about it on the podcast, and then out of the blue, and I need to talk about the timeline somewhat, out of the blue, I got an email to our website from a lady called Penny. And Penny said, and I quote, "I'm the bitch with the fruit."
That's so bizarre. I'm the bitch with the fruit. What fruit? I mean...
Well, in amongst all the crazy stories that happened, eventually, and this is the potted version, eventually a bunch of people went up on the billboard. It came down to 4. One was a stuntman, one was an actor, one was a model. There was a wedding on there between... We found out there was a wedding that took place between one of the participants and one of the ladies who helped out with the organisation. And it turned out that the woman who married one of the Jeffs... God, I hate telling this story because it goes all over the place and I just want to tell
You
it
haven't
clearly.
even mentioned the Jeffs yet. You just mentioned the Jeffs, and yet they don't know about the Jeffs.
So,
Also,
I'm getting to it.
You're misrepresenting Penny.
Calm down.
Okay.
So, a bunch of people went up in December of 1984. And by June 1985, there was 4 left. One of them was about to get married on the billboard. The stories go everywhere, right?
One of them was a stuntman.
But after 6 months and all the crazy stories of what took place on this billboard, it was over. And then that's kind of for us where the story ended. Until I got that email from Penny. And I started talking to Penny and she goes, yeah, I'm the woman who you talked about who married the guy Jeff Stewart on the billboard. Now, at the end of the thing, there was 4 people. Jeff Stewart, Jeff Olan, Jeff Winkie. Absolutely random, but a guy, a stuntman called Jeff Winkie.
He was called
ended up on the billboard.
Winkie. It's not spelled...
Winkie.
Yeah,
something.
Winkie. Vanky.
Either way,
Hey,
another
Vanky.
Winkie.
Hey, Jeff Vanky. I'm Jeff
And a model called Sherry Davis, right? We had so many loose ends and stories that when I got the email from Penny, I was kind of like, oh, all right, we'll organise an interview. And we started talking back and forth, and she was a bit guarded, and I kind of left it for a bit. And then I reached out to the other Jeff Olan, who then I discovered had a website. And on that website was newspaper clippings and photographs of his time on the board. It turns out he ran a casting agency. I got in touch with him. I was meant to meet up with him last year in America. Didn't pan out. Again, it's something I filed away. lockdown happens, and I go, well, let's reach out to them both again. So I reached out to Jeff, and I reached out to Penny, and they both agreed to speak. And so we are now going to talk to people who lived on the billboard, and you're going to hear the story and their experience their way. It's fascinating.
Well, to be technically correct, Paul, Penny didn't actually live on the billboard.
No.
Jeff was one of the last 4. There was 3 Jeffs and Sherry Davis. They were the last 4. And Sherry Davis, well, you'll have to make up your own mind, listener, about Sherry Davis.
Well, Sherry Davis it might be a sad story, we don't know, but it's certainly an interesting story. And there's contradictions, as you'll hear, as we speak to Jeff and Penny. Now, it is I, Paul Gannon, because Eli wasn't available, speaking to Jeff Olan and his time and experiences on that billboard in 1984/5. It's about 40 minutes, so settle in. It's fascinating. I'm sure you're going to love it, and you'll see me and Eli on the back end with our reactions. We've kind of pieced most of the story together now, but we still can't figure out why there was a song to advertise an American toy that was in a limited release on the East Coast, but released in French and only in France. And that's what blows my mind. So it's all of these bubbling questions that I hope you can help answer some of today.
I'll be able to answer some, but I'm going to be honest with you. The song thing, that whole song thing.
Yeah.
I never knew anything about that.
Really?
Yeah. So you're getting you're getting the self-proclaimed spokesman right now of the billboard, because that's
yeah.
I mean, I got so much publicity it was beyond. But when you said that you found this in the old vinyl.
Oh no. I'll show you. No, we didn't find the badge. Bear with me 1 second.
Sure.
Oh, bear with me. Hang on.
I got you, man. I got you.
So we found this. It's a piece.
My God.
It's a 12-inch. We've also got the 7-inch, but this is the 12-inch Winkie album single.
When was that dated?
Bear with me. I will try and tell you.
Yeah, because
there's very little information on the music. 85. It's 85. Yeah, 85. Sorry.
So I guess the question would be then, Paul, is Lawrence Lynn or Dr. Winkie anywhere on that music album?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so I think it was somebody who maybe saw the whole Winkie billboard thing and maybe took something off of there. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I never knew anything about that.
That's bizarre to me, because that's kind of the part of the story that makes the least sense to me. Because, as I say, it was like a limited released kind of toy, blah, 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 blah. And yet, in a different part of the world, there's a Frenchman. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, and my French pronunciation is also awful. But the 2 guys who made this, one was in like a well-known French art pop band of the 80s. And then he disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't know who owns the rights to the song anymore, because it's been bought by different companies over its time, and they've disappeared and eaten up by other companies. But he had a YouTube channel. And when we found the YouTube channel, the only video was him doing French rap to the image of a cat smoking a blunt and a brick wall. And someone said it translates into some kind of Nostradamus prophecy of the future. And then we found out in the 10 years it's been up on YouTube, we were the only viewer of it.
No. 1
view.
No kidding. That's amazing, first of all. And second, the fact that you had your show talking about Winkie on YouTube blew me away. Because for years, I had searched interviews that I've done. I did so many interviews many years ago, but it's so many years ago. I don't know, I don't know where they are. They're in some sort of archives.
Yeah. Okay. So with that all being said, because now I'm in podcast mode, just explain who you are and how you got involved in this. Tell me your entry into this whole weird universe.
So I'm Jeff Olan, O-L-A-N. I don't know if you need any of that or if that's okay.
No, it's all good.
I was an actor when I first came out to Los Angeles 30-some years ago. I was an actor, came out from Indiana, like so many others, chasing the dream, seeing how we can get my name out there a little bit and what have you. And I saw this little ad in the what was at the time it was called the Drama Log. It was a actor's newspaper that gave you all kinds of tips or audition tips or this or that and whatever. And it had in there, be a star on Sunset Boulevard. Enter the Winkie Billboard Marathon. You'll get a screen test. You'll get a car. You'll get all these like products from a company that was called Shackley products, like thousands of dollars worth. And you'll get to, meet people and become basically a star. So I saw this. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Let me put my name in and see what happens. Well, I get called down to an interview. They had interviewed somewhere in the neighborhood of about 400 people. Now, at the time, Paul, you got to remember, this was the first reality show without cameras going.
Okay, because had there been things like kind of touch the truck marathons and things like that?
Little things like that. Yeah, I just found out yesterday, actually, somebody I know, her uncle lived on a flagpole someplace in the Midwest.
Flagpole sitters, yeah.
Yeah. For many, many, many days. So there was all kinds of things. People were trying to break world records and all that. That wasn't something that I went up there for. When I got the call that said, "Hey, you're one of the people. Can you give up your apartment? Can you give up your life? Can you give up everything and get up on the billboard?" And basically it was King of the Hill. Yeah. And I said, because I had already made the decision I was going to do this if I was selected. I said, absolutely, let's go for it. And
now, with that in mind, what do you think they were looking for when they were looking for people? Because I don't know, what were they looking for, do you think?
I think a lot of it had to do with, kind of a little bit of like what producers look for today. They look for either a great story that's going to go, bad, or they're looking for someone who could really, in this case, talk up their product. And I was, and I still am, a very good communicator. I know how to talk. I know how to, reach people, and I believe that's what they went with me on. I believe I told them at the time I had been a disc jockey for a station back in Indiana, and they knew that I was an actor. And I have a pretty outgoing personality. Okay. And I believe that's a good part of why they selected me.
So they were looking for kind of colorful characters, but ones that could also communicate what they were basically selling through their promotion.
Right, because I think you had mentioned it was a bunch of actors. So we had 12 people that went up there, and out of the 12 people, there were 7 guys and 5 women, and there was mostly actors. There was a boxer, an amateur boxer. There was a amateur, some sort of model. Okay. There was a guy in production. That was Jeffrey Stewart. Yeah. And there was a stuntman, which is a whole other crazy story later. We'll get into that.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Because the other thing as well is that when they sit you down and you get there, did they explain the product? Did you know too much about that side of things going in?
We knew a little bit. We were given the Winkie product. Wait, I might as well show this now. People aren't going to see this except.
Oh my God! Oh, that's amazing! For those listening, it is a massive Winkie. Is it taken from the sign?
No.
Oh, I was going to say.
This actually had the lights in it. The
red and green,
light and the green light. And I don't know what happened to those over the last 30 some years, but it's a big piece of plexiglass that was it was like connected to the front of the billboard, and it's one of the best things that I got from it.
It's beautiful. I'm just taking a screen grab now so I can actually put it in with the metadata when I save the episode. All right, wonderful.
I usually do say I have the biggest Winkie around.
Because that's the other thing as well, is that I get the meaning of it because it blinks, it winks, but at the same time, it's a stupid name. It really is. Because, my first thought, if someone goes, "Can I show you my Winkie?" is just to call the police.
So true. So true.
And also, did you know anything of Dr. Winkie at the time? Because I think we're going to be bouncing around somewhat. But yes, we are. From you, I get the impression that he owned Xtronics, which was the billboard company, but they also somehow made this toy and he designed it.
Yeah, so he came out with this, as you say, the toy, which was to be, as you had previously said, the pet rock of the 80s. You can also take it, and it had these little things where you could put it on as an earring, or you could put it on as a pin, on your lapel or what have you. And so he came up with that. We didn't know. The contestants did not know as much about him as he probably knew about us. He was a very secretive man, yet he was a very, very intelligent and very, very secretive. And you know, you try to get information out of him. You couldn't always, but you know, I did a pretty good job of trying to pick his brain. We knew that he had owned a nightclub or two in San Francisco. There was only one contestant up on the billboard that knew more about him because she came from San Francisco, which is a whole nother story.
Oh, wow. Because that again, I get from the pieces that I've learned about him, to say he's had a checkered history is interesting, because I think he's had his high points and his low points. But as far as I'm concerned, he comes across like the man behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz kind of thing.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And he wore these really, and I'll send you some photos. He wore these really, you know, kind of, he always wore shades, never showed his eyes, always wore shades. It was usually almost in all white. I mean, he was a character, and he said to all of us, he said, "You'll call me Dr. Winkie. That's my name. Call me Dr. Winkie."
That's so strange, because again, when we're kind of going backwards and piecing it all together from like where we were when we started doing the digging in the podcast, it was like, oh, what a coincidence that the eventual wedding took place at the nightclub owned by Dr. Winkie. That must have been fortuitous. But it's like, no, I can see how it all works now, knowing that he was that man in the first place.
You know, we did, like I said, we did not know as much about it. He had gathered us all up. He picked 12 out of the 400 or so people, little under 400. He picked us, and he sat us all down, and he said, you know, we're up here to promote this product. This is what it does. You guys are the spokespeople of it, but actually it's the billboard. And this is a contest to see who can live on the billboard the longest. This is what you're going to win. This is what you're going to get. But as we went on and this thing continued, and month after month after month, a lot of the rules per se started to break down a little bit, and different things had happened.
Okay, because did they give you a rough estimate of how long they expected you to be on there, or was it kind of they were always moving the goalposts?
They were moving the goalposts, but also us contestants were moving the goalposts. But they told us they thought we would be up there maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month at the longest.
Because is it just before or just after Christmas that you started?
It was December 11th, 1984.
That's a strange time to kick it off when it's so near to Christmas, but maybe they're thinking toy for Christmas and things like that. But how did you prepare for it? So they say yes. You're ready to go. What are those first those first few days, that first week like?
You know, it was pretty crazy because here I was. I just knew I was going to stay up there. No matter what it took, I was going to stay there. And so my oldest brother at the time had lived in L.A. He would come and pick up my laundry and do my laundry for me. So he kind of knew what his job was going to be from the get-go. I sublet my apartment out in Santa Monica. I parked my car. That was it. I got my sleeping blanket, and I got enough wardrobe that could last me for about a week. And packed everything up, went off, and told my friends and family, and of course heard everything from what the you are doing what?
The thing is, I can totally see that at that period in LA, being involved in something like this had to have been, certainly from someone from your point of view, you can't miss it. You need to at least see what it tasted like. It
was beyond like anything I could even tell you or your audience. It was beyond, and I want your audience to know this, and you probably already know, but Sunset Strip in West Hollywood, it's the most famous strip in the Hollywood, Los Angeles area. And it's known for its billboards. So that's why Dr. Winkie said, let's make it a living billboard. Let's put people up there, live on this billboard, and by golly, we're going to get them attention. And we got attention from all over the world.
Again, it seems like it's a story that more people should have known about, or certainly lingered.
You know, you would think so, but you got to, you know, also remember there was no social media back then. There was, you know, no cell phones. There was, you know, so we had, it was before the time. I mean, now it's like if you did something like that, the whole world would know. But it was crazy. We'd be up on that billboard. We'd be doing things. And because of us being there, and because of the special permits that Lawrence got, you know, we were able to stay as long as we could. But there was accidents that were caused because they were seeing people up there and people moving around on the billboard in the day and the nighttime. There was more people that came by that did things that you wouldn't even know. I mean, you could get into that now or then. I mean,
yeah, I think we'll just roll through it and see what we can pick up, because even now, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking I can't spare the man 4 hours of his day while I ask him every single question I want to know. Like,
I'm here for you, man.
What did you want to do in the bad weather? How did you cope? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you know, it's just, there's so much going on.
There's so much, and you know, I've been writing about this for a long time now, but it's an unbelievable it was an unbelievable experience, and so I will just tell you this, that you know, I mentioned there was a stunt man up there.
Yes,
that stunt man, you know, he taught us all how to rappel off the billboard down to the ground and then go right back up. We had a guard on us. We had a 24-hour guard that would time us. We had three 10-minute breaks and one 20-minute break to go use the facilities, have some fun, whatever. And there was plenty of fun, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But getting back to the stunt man, a couple times he lit himself on fire while he was up on the billboard. So you're seeing a guy who's going back and forth on a rope on fire. You can imagine the people on Sunset Boulevard. We had crowds of people that would stop and go, "What the heck is going on?" I mean,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, okay, so you're with 13 strangers, and some of you got to get on, and most of you probably won't. So how do you keep your shit together when you're just literally killing time?
Well, you have to put it into your head.
Okay.
You know, this is a contest. It's a game. You know, are you going to be the winner? Are you going to be, you know, or are you going to be a loser? Are you going to go up there? You're going to do what you got to do. So a lot of it was mind games. So we all got together. We had all gone up together. We went up the ladder. We got up there. Everybody made their own little cubicles of space. You picked where you wanted to be. And at first we had literally, it was 12 people total. We had 12 cubicles of literally however we made it. We throw a sleeping bag out there. Some people brought some plastic to put over them. Other people brought umbrellas and chairs. And, you know, and then you made your 12 cubicles. I brought a sleeping bag, and I was okay. I was going to be in that sleeping bag. Whatever it took, I would be on the board, on the sleeping bag, because the board itself, they constructed it a little wider, you know, obviously not longer, but wider. So it was 3.5 feet wide from the billboard with a 4-foot plexiglass around the front.
Right.
So it couldn't, you know, fall off.
Yeah. You got netting around it or something as well.
That's
But
right.
yeah. So then it's like, once you set in and you bed in, what was your game plan? I mean, I know it's like positivity and things like that, but there must have been nights when you thought, fuck this. You must have been so close.
Well, I think those nights didn't come until much later. And I don't know if you know how long.
It was 6 months, right? Or to June or July?
Right. So there was, and this is all part of the, obviously the bigger story.
Yeah.
In the end, there was 4 of us left. And there was 3 guys named Jeff.
That was the other thing. So I thought that was unusual, but it's an unusual story. Why not?
Oh, beyond unusual. 3 guys named Jeff. One of the guys, the stunt man, his last name was Winkie, but was spelled differently, was no relation to Dr. Winkie.
So, what a godsend that producer had when a stuntman sat down and went, "Hello, my name is Winkie." They thought, "Yeah, you just go to the front of the queue. You're fine.
Yeah,
you're in."
right. And when we all found out that he was no relation whatsoever, and he was the stunt man, then there was the model from New York, from San Francisco,
Okay.
who we found out later on had known them a little bit. So that was a kind of a,
Okay.
we think it was maybe a bit of a plant. But so there was, in the end, there was the three gals named Jeff, the one guy named the three guys named Jeff, with one gal named Sherry, and we kind of all made a pact to come down together.
That's right. Yeah.
But going back to your question, Paul, is when we all got up there, everybody had in their mind, kind of whatever they were going up there for, whether it was they were up there for publicity for a day, they were up there to get away from something in life, they were up there for, whatever, because the first couple of people left within 2 days. People were
really?
out of it.
That soon?
Yeah. And then, because listen, you sign up for something like this and then you're up there and then you're like, well, wait, this isn't exactly what I thought I was going to sign up for. In my mind, it was exactly what I was going to sign up for and then some.
Yeah. Okay.
So I watched as people, left. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. There was a writer up there, a guy who was writing, and at the time he was trying to write a sitcom. He had been up there for, I think, about a month and a half. His literary agent brought him a chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And he ended up choking on a bone from the chicken sandwich that his literary agent brought him.
Wow.
He was taken away in an ambulance.
God, that's a terrible way to go.
He's okay.
I was going to say, I hope there was a happy ending to that.
He made us happy. He left, and it's a happy ending. He got to keep the whole chicken and his agent.
When you got down to the final four, you were 6 months in, and so I can imagine you had life experiences on there that you wouldn't have had anywhere else.
So it came down to about the four of us in about 2 months in.
Okay.
It dropped from 12 to 4 of us 2 months in. Nobody wanted to leave. We were all doing things together.
Yeah.
But yet we all had what was going on. The stuntman and the model, they got together up on the billboard. And they had their fun on the billboard.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah, they were rocking and rolling up on that billboard.
As long as he wasn't on fire at the same time, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, well, he might have been on fire in her eyes.
Yeah. Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, but it was a little irritating for me and the other Jeff. And then the other Jeff and I, on our breaks, we were able to go downstairs to the nearby apartment, and we would also, quote unquote, catch on fire in our own little ways, because there was a lot of fans and a lot of fan favorites, as we should say.
Oh, because that was the other thing I was going to say. It's like, yeah, what's the reaction from people like that? Because I know where it eventually spins off to, but I'm gathering you were taking the cream of the crop.
I would say some of the cream and some of the crop. We had people that would stop by. They would bring us food. We had people that would give us gifts. We had people that would, they'd come by, they'd buy the Winkies because we were able to make a couple of dollars selling those things. And we got all kinds of things. I got love letters from, it's funny, it's so cute. I got love letters. They see me on the news or they saw me on a TV show. And then we also got love songs and everything that came to us from the older gals that we were able to get to know a little bit. Yeah. And that's how Jeff Stewart got to know his, but that's further down the line. We had an awful lot of fun. I had a cousin at the time that was living in LA. First of all, they told us, Dr. Winkie and his people told us, there'll be absolutely no drinking whatsoever while you're up there.
Right.
We did drink one time, but that was for New Year's, and they brought the champagne. But otherwise, he said there'll be no drinking. Now, these were the 1980s.
Yeah.
And in the mid-80s, Paul, as you probably know, there was some other drugs.
This thing is, that's what I was going to say. No drinking, but I'm pretty sure some recreational entertainment was had other ways.
There was some recreational entertainment. There was some, there was a little bit of snow, and there was a little bit of weed. I have a cousin of mine who, God bless them, they brought me a big cigar box filled with joints rolled.
Oh, bliss. I'd be happy. I wouldn't. That's how I get rid of a few days. That's how you do it. It's a memory eraser. A big box of that is just, it's fine.
God bless them.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. It's one thing living on a billboard, but it's another thing living on a billboard when you're a little bit high.
It's not even that. It's living on a billboard when you're high and a massive electronic microchip face staring over you. The levels of absurdity is what always delights me about this story, because like it just seems like it was just a mad moment and it burnt bright, for that moment.
It did, because you showed the photos of the big billboard.
Yeah.
And you had those lights up on the board were like, I mean, they were pretty, well, you can see it here, but I don't know how to, but it's huge. I mean, really huge. I would say probably, a foot and a half across for the light round. And they would be blinking up and down Sunset Boulevard, coming off of Hollywood Boulevard, you know the area. It was amazing. People that saw it, they would be stopping and honking and getting out of their cars and taking pictures. And there was so much that happened down there. In those days, there was a lot of the streetwalkers were, on the street. I have a really funny story to tell you. I mean,
Go on.
Several. So I got to know a lot of the girls that were doing the street walking and looking for their clients. Well, across the street, kitty corner from the billboard, there was across the street from the Standard Hotel. Across the street from the Standard in those days, there was 2 payphones. And because remember, there was no cell phones at the time.
Yeah.
And here I am, and I got to know some of the gals that were walking, and here I am, and I could see pretty far down the street. And I saw a police car coming on down the strip. Well, I wanted to help out my new friends across the street who were showing their legs and what have you.
Yeah.
So I had the number to the phone, and I would call the phone on the street.
Oh, yeah.
They picked it up, and I said something like, "Hello, Daisy. Listen, you got, Smokey down the street about 3 blocks and run up in the hills."
So move out.
So I warned them, and they got out of the way. A week later, her and a couple of her friends came by right in front of the billboard and asked for me.
Yeah.
And they gave me a show like no show. They took their tops and they held it up and they go, "This is for you. Thank you." Thank you.
That's great. And you think, oh yeah, no, anytime, dear.
Like anytime, exactly.
Wow.
Every time.
So with all this going on, I mean, where do I even begin? Where do I even go with these stories? Because I'm sure there's all sorts of tangents we can go down. But like fundamentally, if you're going to live and choose that lifestyle for that long a time, you kind of have to roll the punches and kind of just live differently, be different. Did you feel? I mean, just bumping along to the end a little bit. At the end, when it all finished, did you feel like it had been a life-changing thing, or was it an anomaly?
No, I definitely felt it was a life-changing thing because because of all the publicity that we had gotten along the way. Yeah. I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I knew that something big was going to happen, and it was a life-changing thing. And when we all came down, and there's a lot more to tell, but when we all came down and I got home that day, I went straight to my car. 6 months not driving it, but I went to the car and I got into it, and I was just going to go to a little store to pick up some groceries. And I get in my car. Needless to know, first of all, I felt like I forgot how to drive. And then I get about 3 blocks and the car runs out of gas. So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, first of all, what was I thinking to leave the car there with no gas? But you gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
So I start walking and I'm walking and I felt like I was like walking on a cloud because I still felt like I was up in the air. And I was like, it was really weird. And I'm like going, oh, this is crazy. So finally I walk into a gas station and I said to the guy, I told him, I said, hey, I need some gas. And well, I walked into his gas station, Paul, and I said, I've got a story for you.
So it's like when a cowboy walks into a town and buys a beer with a story. Is it that kind of thing?
That's kind of the thing, yeah.
Excellent.
But here's the thing: I had no money. I did not know. Forgot, obviously. I just got into my car. Forgot that you have to put a wallet into your pocket. And I go in there and I said, "Listen, I got this story for you." I tell him this whole story. He starts cracking up, and nobody would ever tell me a story like that unless it was true.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm going to fill up a can of gas for you. Take it to your car." And I said, "Listen, I will bring the money back. I will bring the gas can back." I don't think he believed me, but I did, and I did it that day. But it was unbelievable. So
Beautiful.
yeah, it was beyond.
Beautiful.
It was beyond.
So the other thing, I just remember my point from earlier that I missed. So the other thing, obviously, having that lack of privacy. So was the attention sometimes too much? I mean, I can imagine it was also you had dickheads throwing things or hollering and all this kind of stuff. I'm sure it was like your first share of people raining on the parade, but like, did you, being that exposed, did it either liberate you or did you close up a little bit, get a bit guarded?
I didn't get guarded. I didn't get guarded because one of the reasons I went up there, well, the real reason I went up there was I wanted to get famous. I wanted to get more famous. I came out as an actor. I was trying to do everything I could to get noticed. So, but with what you say, or with the question that you're asking, there were a few nights that maybe I was up a little too long or what have you, because you'd usually be up till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Because Sunset Boulevard is such a busy boulevard at night, especially, anytime it's busy. You got cars and you got people walking and yelling, like you said. So there were a few nights where, I couldn't get to sleep and I was kind of irritated, but nothing that really affected me so much. We also had some torrential rains during that time. And we also had, and as you know, it hardly ever rains in California, but that year it did a lot. And then we had one night of a bug infestation that were coming. If you look at a billboard and you have those big lights in front, whatever happened, there was millions of these like bugs that were all over the place. And literally we had to get underneath the plastic or whatever we had at that point in time. You saw the bugs like all around you. It was it took hours for us to get rid of them.
Those are the days when you think, is this worth it? Because when things were getting big, when the initial explosion died off, was it hard for like even the brand to maintain the exposure? I mean, why do you think it ended when it did? Was it just that there was a line that was crossed and it was like, we have to be done with this, otherwise it will be forever?
Yes. I mean, there was a lot of that. That's exactly right. We kept going. Nobody was leaving out of the four of us. And Sherry, the model, she stopped talking. That was her way of trying to get rid of us. So she stopped talking. Listen, I'm just telling you, there are a million stories.
I know.
A million.
I know.
Hours. But she stopped talking for about 2 weeks because that was her way to try to get rid of us. So she stopped talking.
Okay.
Meanwhile, all the guys, we kind of formed together, the three Jeffs, and we just said, hey, and then finally in the end, we just said, okay, let's all of us come down together. We'll take the prize, we'll take the prizes, we'll take the prize money, and we'll split it up. And so that's what we decided to do. And we all started coming down the stairs together. But then Sherry ran back up to the top of the stairs. They declared her the official winner.
Really?
That's why we said that we believe maybe from the get-go she was a plant for the company.
Oh, I see. So their friend could end up potentially winning it as a back deal for kind of being involved in the first place.
But no, when I came down, me personally, I mean, it was really strange. But we came down with a wedding, which you preluded to in your earlier. And by the way, I am one of the proud owners of the Keith Haring invitation.
Because I think we mentioned in the podcast, but even prints of that are $1,000.
Yeah, and I'll take you saw it, but I have it somewhere. And
that's beautiful, because the story, as I understand it, was because originally I thought it was two people on the billboard that got married, but no, it was someone who called in to a radio station, or please tell me, because obviously not me. I don't know why I'm trying to tell you your history, but go on.
No, I love this. This is great. So Penny Penny Floyd, who ended up getting married to Jeff Stewart.
Okay.
Jeff was he was working in production, and he went up on the billboard, and in one of his earlier comments through one of the newspapers, they said, "Why'd you come up here?" He said, "Well, I came up here to find a wife."
It was before Tinder, way before Tinder.
Way before Tinder, way before, yeah. And he was probably somewhat joking, but he for whatever reason, he went up there. And so we had 4 telephone lines that were up on the billboard that Extronics put up there for us. People could call us from all over. There was the telephone number on the billboard, call these guys. And from every part of the country and the world, we would get phone calls. And he picked up the phone one day, and he ended up talking to Penny, and one thing led to another. And then he invited her to come see him. But he couldn't, at that point in time, he couldn't take her up on the billboard. There was on the billboard at that point in time.
Now I get the impression that there are hooded figures being gathered up there at certain times of the day.
We got up there eventually, yeah.
Yeah,
and
for sure. So, Winkie wasn't always watching over it.
No. So Jeff Stewart and his Winkie, so they went down to meet her.
Yeah.
And we had an apartment down below that we could take our breaks in with whomever we wanted to.
Fair enough.
And he started inviting Penny into the break room. It was an apartment. One thing led to another, and they decided. Well, what had happened was they fell in love, and then Dr. Winkie said to them, "How about we'll take care of the wedding. We'll pay for everything.
Yeah.
Will you do it up here on the billboard?"
And how long was this into it? Was it toward the back end of the time? Like
this was the planning of all this probably started about 4 months into it.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Maybe 4.5. But then what happened in about the 5th month, maybe fifth. The start of the 5th month or maybe the middle of the 5th month, the billboard company, which this billboard company was not Extronics. It was a different billboard company. The billboard company, from what we understand, is that Extronics stopped or were late on payment to keep us up there. Also, I think the city of West Hollywood and Hollywood wanted to get us down from there by this time.
Fair play.
So, yeah, like, well, okay, this is good enough. So about the 5th month, give or take, we're up there. We know there's going to be this wedding. We had planned for it. There's a lot of stuff that happened from the time that he asked her to marry him until the wedding itself. And again, like I said, that's a whole nother.
Yeah. I believe they tried to get people to do the ceremony, but a lot of people said no. So they was it a random rabbi came by to do it?
Right, it was a rabbi that they found, who, because it was the most like who does a wedding on a billboard?
I know.
A rabbi or a priest or anyone.
Yeah.
So we got somebody. They had the chuppah, and it was a really wonderful, wonderful time. But what happened, Paul, which is interesting, and I'm sure you're going to find this to be very interesting in your audience.
Okay.
The billboard company, because that last month wasn't paid, that 5th month, I believe, the billboard company came while we were still up there with their big trailer trucks, with their cranes, and they took down the facade of the billboard.
Oh, wow. So
they took down the Winkie, the blinking lights. They took it all down, and it was just the planks across.
Wow.
But we still stayed there. We didn't come down.
Because I guess they couldn't evict you, I guess, at this point. It would be a weird way to end it, to be fair. A stuntman on fire swinging. I can't even imagine. It would be like the end of Duck Soup or something. It would just be odd.
Yeah.
And then the reception that took place at, was it called D8 or something, whatever Winkie's nightclub was? Was that after everyone came down, or was there something going on that you just weren't invited to?
No, we all came down. We all went to the reception. That in itself was bizarre because it was just it really wasn't put together right. Dr. Winkie, like I said, great guy. He had spent so much money on, putting us up there. It cost a lot of money to put us up there and get the permits and all that. He didn't spend a lot of money on this wedding. He didn't come through promises. It was not really at the nightclub that he had mentioned it would be at. It was actually at a much smaller place. Everybody went over there. But by this time, I think I think everybody just wanted to get out of there. It was like, enough was enough.
And at this point, at this point, because obviously every now and then it's weird to actually mention the product in all of this, but the badge itself, do you know anything about what happened with that? Because I know that it was released, I imagine, around the same time you went up on the billboard. But, to the best of my knowledge, it was only released in that California state. I don't believe it was sold anywhere else. Did you know what the sales were like? Did you know what Dr. Winkie's reaction to all that was? Or was it just so insular that it didn't matter to you?
Yeah, I was pretty much, I think I was pretty much done. I could tell you, I'll tell you a story about that too, but I was pretty much done. I think everybody was pretty much done. They had it. And Dr. Winkie, we had found out by that point in time that, behind his sunglasses was a man that wasn't being 100% complete with us on a lot. We believe that whole billboard thing wasn't necessarily for the product of Winkie. We believe it was Dr. Winkie's narcissistic personality that he wanted people to know about him. And it was the great, like you said, Oz, the great Dr. Winkie behind the curtain. And that's what we believe had happened there. Now, go backwards for a second, and I will tell you, he and his couple of people, cronies, people who work with him, had approached me. They brought me into the office in the apartment down below. This was about 3 weeks, give or take, till the end of the thing. And they asked me if I would like to do this again in New York. And this is the story I was going to tell you. So
go on.
I'll tell you. If you have time, I'll tell you.
Please. I've got all the time if you've got it.
Right, I've got it. So they asked me if I would get into a pickup truck with part of the billboard, drive cross country to New York because I was the best spokesperson for the product and for what they wanted to do. They would do the same thing in New York. Well, I declined because it had already been 6 months. I saw what was going on. I didn't want to go to New York. I knew the weather in New York, was going to be probably very humid over the summer, and I didn't need to be sitting on a billboard for another 6 weeks. So what they did was they took Sherry, the person who they determined the winner. They took her. Now here's the story this is the $1 million story. So they take Sherry, they drive cross country. She's up on this billboard, has the phone number, call her, blah, blah, blah. Some years later, I'm starting on my career as I gave up acting for casting, starting my career. And a guy that I started working with in a casting company out here in Los Angeles, he and I start talking, and he tells me about this story about years prior, out of his 17th floor in New York City condo, he saw this billboard across the street with this big number on it, and he and his buddy called the number up, went up to the billboard to meet this girl, Sherry. I even said to him, I said, was her name Sherry? And he goes, how do you know? Turned out he and I became partners many years later.
Wow. It's a small universe, isn't it?
Small, very small.
So the aftermath of that, you came down, again, things I'm a bit fuzzy on. Were you given the promised rewards? What happened with all of that?
Not too much of anything. We were promised a car, a screen test, all these products. Probably at that point in time in the mid '80s, maybe it came out to $5,000-$6,000. We were just going to take it, split it up, say adios. This was really cool. For one person, it would have been nice, but there was the four of us that were. We came down, and right as soon as we got down, because it was already in the papers, some of the newspapers were doing things saying, there's some bad blood up on the billboard, this and that, whatever. People got in touch with some stories, and there was Hollywood lawyers that came to us to want to represent us. To try to go after Dr. Winkie and whatever, but nothing happened out of it. I'm the only one that I know right now that even has a story on it and who has done anything on it over the years. And as I told you earlier, I am friends with Jeffrey Stewart. Yeah, and he pretty much buried it for about umpteen years until I brought it to his attention that I was doing something with it, and he's a co-producer with me on something we're putting together. Yeah, it was a time of my life that obviously I'll never forget. It was the stories that came out of it. I ended up getting a publicist out of it, an agent out of it.
Yeah.
I was really lucky because I just said I was going to do this, make the best of it, and make as many. Just get whatever I could out of it, and now years later, I mean, look, I'm talking to you. 30 some. About 35 and a half, 36 years later.
Yeah. I would have been 6.5 when this happened.
What are you like?
Yeah. I was just getting over the thrill of Ghostbusters.
I love it. Oh my God. But so many years later, and here I am still talking about it. I have had in my office at my casting company, Jeff Olan Casting.
Yeah.
I have pictures, and people will come in and they'll go, "Are you kidding me? You did that? How long?" Still the same questions. My parents, God love them, they're gone now, but everybody would go up to my parents and go, "Your son is doing what?" And my mom would always say, "Listen, some people, their sons are lawyers and others are doctors, and our good son Jeff is a billboard sitter."
Yeah. You know what? There are worse things in life to be. Seriously. It's like, what would you rather be, an accountant or have a life full of stories? And I think I'd rather have a life full of stories, frankly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the stories are the stories are endless, Paul. Endless.
Yes.
There was so much that I've just given you a little bit of a taste of it.
Yeah, even this little taste has been exquisite. So thank you very much for this already. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. This has been a lot of fun. And,
All right, Jeff, take care of yourself. Have a good day.
Buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Right, so what did you make of Jeff Olan then, based on that?
I made several things of him, Paul.
Yeah.
I detected a little bit of a sort of saviour complex going on with him, with the prostitutes who he befriends and helps. Do you know what I mean? It's like
how was that what you took away from it?
It's like and the way he's kept sort of going, "Oh, I was boning." I don't know how much I can say, but I was boning is what he's saying the whole way through, isn't he? I
think we can all agree that it was the 80s, he was living it up, and he was having a jolly good time.
Absolutely fine. But then when
I don't think he's being a saviour, though.
It did have sort of overtones of he's helping her out. You know what I mean. Anyway.
I just find it fascinating that that's the one thing you decided to lead with your observations on this whole
It's not the
event.
one thing. It's what I decided to lead with. Here's something else.
Wasn't a very good lead.
Oh, fuck you. I'll bury the lead up your ass. Right. So,
come on.
There's also a really funny moment where he talks about having sex. There was a lot. Basically, they got
you're fascinated with the nookie on the Winkie.
Yeah, I am actually, and it did seem that they were getting a lot of sort of people coming along, groupies almost.
Admirers, yes.
Yeah, who'd come along, and then they had their breaks, didn't they, in the flat where they could... He just said it was basically a bone pad.
No, he didn't say it was a bone pad.
He did. He got down, you washed your nuts, and then you boned someone, then you got back on top.
Great. I was hoping you'd say more like, I don't know, Eli... What would you do this? Would you spend 6 months on a billboard for exposure?
Absolutely not. No.
Because it seems like in Jeff's instance, I believe the prizes weren't as much as the exposure to him.
No, he did. He was very ambitious. That comes across. He was very ambitious, and it was obviously something he kind of relished, didn't he? He was very positive about the actual challenge itself, and wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how much of that is just when you tell history, you embellish it somewhat, and maybe he paints a rosier picture because, frankly, it can't all have been fun and games for 6 months on a billboard in all kinds of weather.
Also, there is a point where he goes, he was great. That Dr. Winkie, Lynn was great. He was a great person, he says at one point. But then also he intimates that he was a scam artist and didn't pay them. Did you notice that?
I did, but that's the interesting thing. It's I still feel that Lynn is just an interesting, like we say it in the episode, like a Wizard of Oz character, where he exists behind the scenes to create this universe that he's built, but he doesn't like to engage in it much. He just likes to be the man who did it.
He's like a Bond villain.
Yeah, like a Bond villain.
It really
is strange. Like when you hear the stories about the guy setting himself on fire and the groupies coming by and the sex show that they put on Sunset Strip.
Brilliant.
And you just think, It could only happen in LA on Sunset Strip in 1984 when cocaine and weed and everything was just there.
Yeah. The other thing is, the whole, I got a real sense of how kind of freaky it would be if you got really stoned on weed and like it's 2 a.m. and then you do a load of blow on top of this billboard and you're paranoid, and you're already paranoid because it's got that whole aspect of reality TV about it, because everyone's competing against each other.
And you're vulnerable the whole time.
Yeah, both weed and cocaine are known to cause paranoia. So, must have been freaked out up there.
Well, that's like I said to him. Someone's having sex under a massive Winkie light bulb as a stuntman sets himself on fire and abseils down the sign. It's like, yeah, it's a very strange experience.
It's like bloody Fury Road or something, isn't it? It's like a fucking post-apocalyptic weird billboard. Fireman.
Yeah, and also it's like you look at the coverage it did get, and like there's so much footage that must be lost to time that local news shows probably had of the people outside. I mean, he talks about stars stopping by.
Yes,
and he talks about the phone calls from radio stations, and it's just for a minute you're like the center of attention on a big publicity campaign. But ultimately, I think like the message was lost. I think the toy became, supplemental to this big showcase.
Yeah, that's another thing. But that's like I said, there's no connection. There's no link. There's no path you can take from the competition to actually the toy. Like what? Do they all have a Winkie to help them survive up there? They had their own Winkie friend. It was not even anything like that. It's plainly shit.
Well, they were selling Winkies while they were up there as well, to make a bit of money.
Well, did they get to keep the money, or did they have to give their money to...
we don't know.
Did he come and collect the Winkie takings, you know what I mean?
The only thing I can say is that it's like, I can imagine it being like a big issue salesman where they get a commission on everyone sold.
Yeah. Who knows? But he was definitely working for Lynn, selling the Winkie off there.
And I think he understood that, though. I get the impression he knew exactly that he was being exploited, and he was going to take as much as he could as well.
Yes, but I think they were just cheated out of the prize money in the end, weren't they? I mean,
that whole thing about Sherry is contentious, because as we'll find when we talk to Penny in a moment.
She was friends with Sherry.
She got to know Penny, I think, probably better than the boys did, the Jeffs.
Yeah, because Penny wasn't even on top of the billboard. Penny was just a fan who phoned in, wasn't she, really?
And then, as we'll find out, became a quite important part of the whole process.
One other thing about Jeff is when he was saying there was lots of girls who came and wanted basically...
You're obsessed with this part of the story.
There was one point where you go, you're playing along and you say, I bet you got the cream of the crop. And he goes, yeah, sometimes I got the cream and sometimes I got the crop.
I'm amazed that that's amusing to you more than anything.
It's so amusing because he doesn't even know what you mean by the cream of the crop.
Well, it's like Jeff sent me a bunch of stuff in an email with like articles to like Insider Soap where they're talking about, here are the winners and the final people of the thing, and they're going to go on to stardom, and they're going to be in TVs and soaps and movie roles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, he started off as an actor and then he moved into casting. It feels like the acting didn't work out for him, or maybe he just realised that the casting was a more secure job in the industry.
Well, yeah, totally. Of course, it's more secure. You can see from his sort of delight he took in the whole event. It's almost little inkling of him being into casting, because he was like, he's all into the different characters and watching everybody. And he of course he's got this thing where he's trying to develop it into a mini series or whatever.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the story itself is fascinating, but it's LA, so you've got to hustle.
That's why it would be a great little mini series, because it's these vectors of all of these things that were going to be huge, like the whole reality TV and all of that stuff, and the drugs. And the strip, it is quite cinematic as an idea, isn't it?
Yeah. But also, you've got to remember, there's other lives that we just haven't touched on at all. Like he said, there was a boxer up there and a writer.
Yeah, the writer choked on a chicken sandwich and then had to go, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like there's almost, I think I say it in the interview, like there's a Willy Wonka-esque quality where they're all dropping off one by one. But apparently most of them left within the first month.
Just strange that the last 3 guys were all called Jeff.
Yeah. And I can understand that them being quote-unquote betrayed by Sherry, because
you can see Sherry as the serpent in the Garden of Eden, and them as the three wise men, the three wise Jeffs, if you will, and so, Winkie is Winkie is the Jesus. Winkie is the child.
Right, I'm gonna call it. That is the shittest analogy you could have made.
Oh, no, it's not.
It
three
is,
Jeffs. The three
calling it.
wise Jeffs. You're calling nothing.
So anyway, Jeff, thank you very much, Jeff, for talking to us. He's got a load of stuff he sent me. So if you want to know more, go to our website, or there'll be links to his website where you can just check out all the articles and news clippings he's got.
And Paul, you do have a photograph of his giant Winkie, which he recovered from the billboard.
Yes, I do. I have a picture of Jeff's giant Winkie. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't discovered by now, Winkie is an easy source of humour when it comes to just saying Winkie. So we are going to ride on that till the end of the episode.
Yes. On that note, Paul, did you say that Dr. Winkie had a company called Winkie Inc.?
Yeah,
that could be euphemism.
Yes,
for...
it could. For
Spoff. I'm right.
Right, good. Right, moving on. So
Winkie
on next,
Inc. I've squeezed out some Winkie Ink and write a message on your butt.
I do hate you sometimes.
Oh, come on.
We're going on to the next interview now, and this is Penny, who reached out to me initially with the "I was the fruit bitch" comment. So we got talking on eBay, and we, knocked it back and forth.
On eBay? You got talking on eBay?
Email.
Weird. An eBay romance, selling each other little trinkets or something.
I'm tired. It's a long story. So I got
right.
speaking to Penny, and she was a bit guarded because of the content and the tone of our show. But once I convinced her to chat, I think I had a really fascinating chat with her. Now, in both cases with Jeff and with Penny, the conversations were much, much longer, and I think I'm going to give those out to the Patreon people, because especially in Penny's case, there are a lot of tangents and a lot of kind of personal bits I've kind of lopped out just to focus on the story.
Yeah, but they are quite fascinating in their own way, some of those tangents.
Really fascinating. Penny and Jeff have both led really interesting lives. And it was a shame to kind of focus just on the story, but I wanted to. So reached out to Penny. Now, Penny, in the story, was the lady who helped out initially with Dr. Winkie to kind of maintain the billboard. She kind of invited herself into the story, as we'll find out. And then she fell in love with Jeff Stewart, and then they got married, and the big publicity was the marriage,
which took place on top of the billboard.
That whole thing was fascinating, again, because it leans back on the Keith Haring thing. One of the most fascinating things I find about Lawrence Lynn is that he kind of always seems to ask Keith Haring to do something, and Keith Haring does it.
What did he have on Haring, I wonder?
I don't think he had anything on Haring. I just think Haring possibly didn't like Lawrence Lynn that much, but maybe he benefited in other ways in terms of the scene and the nightlife. He also did the invite to the wedding we're going to talk about in this segment. So Keith Haring has dipped in and out. And even now, we spoke about it before, a print of that invitation of the Winkie figure dancing on the wedding cake goes for about $1,000 online.
Wow.
And it's just fascinating that is a part of the story, the Keith Haring angle, who's a really iconic artist. It's like you can't mistake his work for anything else. And
of that era as well.
And there's a great documentary, I think, about his life on YouTube that you can check out. It's fascinating and tragic, and the fact that it's even tangentially involved with this daft toy is fascinating to me. So, without any further ado then,
let's hear from Penny.
We're going to hear from Penny. And as I say, we chopped a lot out to get it down, but it's about another 30-odd minutes or so. Enjoy more fascinating opinions. We'll join you right at the end of this segment.
It never really took off. A fascinating thing. We did get free Swatch watches, but we never got a Winkie watch unless Lynn got one. He was like always hoarding shit, like we were getting from like sponsors and things like that. So Penny, if there was a prototype, he probably kept it.
Okay, so I tell you what, because this is automatically recording, what I'll do is I'll just start by asking you how you got involved. Like, what was how did you get to LA and how did you get involved? And then I'll just let you talk.
Well, the LA Times article has a lot of factual mistakes, but basically, I had a bad relationship and a stalker situation. I moved from San Diego back to Hollywood, where I had grown up.
Okay.
In the Hollywood Hills on a street called Holly Drive. And some people, they came of age while I was gone. They were like young 20. Well, actually, I was only 21, so what am I talking about? They might have been 18 or 19, but they were kids when I had moved away. And they wanted to ride around, like go to Michael Jackson's house.
Yeah.
Like, they go, we're going to go over to MJ's in Encino. And I thought it was a nightclub. That's kind of thing. It was Michael Jackson's house, and it was like all these people. I'm like, this shit's not cool.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Hollywood. So we're driving around Hollywood, cruising. You know what I'm saying by cruising, American thing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're going down the strip, and they have the famous iconic billboards in Chateau Marmont. And as we're passing the famous Cowboy Marlboro, we see all these lights and stuff up ahead, which is next to the iconic Playboy Club. Sweetser Ave is where Playboy Club sits.
Yes, yeah. Didn't they used to have a store there on the corner eventually?
Well, it's a huge office building, and the penthouse was Playboy, and that's where they used to shoot the old TV show back in the day.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah, well, I vaguely know of it, yeah.
Anyway, that's where they used to shoot it.
Yeah.
So there's a big billboard there, and Gannett Advertising, they're the ones who rent the billboards out. And we're like, what the hell? There's the big, I can't even remember. I have pictures. There was a picture of a Winkie. I don't think it blinked, though, the red and green.
Okay.
And there was people on the billboard. And this was, I like to say Christmas time.
Yeah, it started just before Christmas in 84.
Right. Well, when I came back to Hollywood like in January, because 1984 was horrible. 1985, I went to see the Steelers and the Raiders. Steelers lost.
Right.
And right after that was January.
Yeah.
I moved back. So like end of January, beginning of February. So we're driving around at that period of time. Okay. In the middle, like the end of January. And we're like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, the kids didn't know anything about it, these teenage boys that I was with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's crazy. But now that I moved home, I needed a job. So I got a job right away because I have connections in Beverly Hills CPA firms.
Right.
So I'm a receptionist at this swanky Beverly Hills CPA firm, all celebrities, all multimillionaires and things like that. And I have to drive past the billboard every day with my roommate, who's from Pennsylvania also, who also knows Keith Haring, or knew Keith Haring family.
Right.
We're all from little towns right there. So she's like, what is that? I said, I don't know. It's a bunch of people up there. I guess it's some kind of contest. So there was a big number, and I called the number. And you're right. There was the 4 people that I got to know really well at the end.
Right.
But I think at the time there might have been 8 or 9 people up there.
Okay.
So we had a 1 out of 9 shot that Jeff Stewart would answer the phone. Everybody calls him Stewie. I call him Jeff or Stu.
Right.
But so he answers the phone, and right away I could tell he's from the East Coast. He's on Long Island, and I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So we're chatting. I'm going, what? This is crazy. And he's telling me about the food they have up there. And, you know, they're getting ribs and free meat and delivery from around that Beverly Hills, West Hollywood area. I'm like, well, would you like some fresh fruit? Yeah. So, and I did. I brought him some fruit, and we're just hanging out. He was smitten like right away. You could tell.
Okay.
He was blushing. He was like pacing around. And then Jeff Winkie, he was the stud up there. Gorgeous. He's a stunt man.
Yeah, he was the stuntman. Yeah, I heard he was doing some crazy stuff from time to time just to kind of pass the time.
I set him on fire.
You set him on fire?
On the billboard.
Yeah.
He taught me how to do it. He
Wow.
also, I'm Afraid of Heights, he had me rappelling off the billboard and swinging around above Sunset Boulevard on a whatever, contraption. It was crazy up there. We had crazy times. But at any rate, and Jeff Olan, who you talked to.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love him too. I do. But we're more like a brother and sister. And he was the only actor. That's what they got wrong. Sherry was a model. Jeff Winkie was a stuntman. Now, my husband, he had owned a deli in New York. He grew up in Long Island.
Right.
His life was nothing about Hollywood or acting or modeling or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's a mistake. That's a misnomer now. People just wanted to win the prizes. So, you did have a couple actors. Yeah, you did have a model. Yeah, you did have people that are attention-seeking cunts. Anyway, so get to the point of the story. So anyway, I really had no expectation of going back other than he was so adorable. And his hair had been growing out, so it was kind of curly.
Okay.
And he's hilarious. Oh, my God, he's so funny. So anyway, I wasn't going to go back, but people got curious. Like Todd Bridges, he came by once.
Okay.
But he actually had been arrested. Todd Bridges was a child actor in a show called Different Strokes.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a lot of problems. Remember, this is the middle 80s, right? 85.
Right.
And so I have a picture of a cop car, but you can't see him because this is the old 126 film.
Yeah.
He had been arrested for some shenanigans. Drew Barrymore came by for it was part of a scavenger hunt.
Right.
Was like a little tiny girl at the time.
Because was there other activities going on throughout the period they were up there to kind of keep the interest going?
Yeah, so so people were like, do you know what's going on up there? And I would tell them, so I would go with other people. Okay. So within a few weeks, Jeff was like so smitten he wanted to get married. And he's like,
Wow.
And it had nothing to do with the billboard. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to like, I didn't understand what an attractive female I was.
Right.
Okay, I was 21. I had a bad relationship. I had people stalking me. I'm a very tomboy type of girl. I don't wear makeup. And I didn't really get it, but I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'm the one who said why not to the LA Times. Jeff said about the rabbi.
Oh,
and
right.
It was right below the guy that he said, Hail Satan, that guy, the killer.
Brain's got a blank. Yeah, the Night Stalker.
Yeah, right below him was
Rodriguez.
Yeah, so the quotes of the year was Night Stalker saying, Hail Satan. And then Jeff Stewart saying, I must have called every rabbi in LA before I got one to agree to do it. Because we had a hoopah and we broke the glass and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, but I didn't really think about it at the time. And we were smoking weed.
Right.
We had a little joke.
So you're all just wrapped up in the moment, trying to just celebrate it and just have fun.
21, dude, 21.
Exactly.
They were like, Jeff was 25. I think Oli was 23, maybe. I don't. Winkie probably. See, we all had nicknames because the 3 Jeffs.
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise to me when I was like, no, which Jeff is this right now? And I was trying to keep a timeline in my head.
Winkie, Oli, Stewie.
That's it.
So Jeff Olan was the only aspiring actor who happened to be in Nightmare on Elm Street. He's one of the cops that come breaking through the door at the very end of the movie.
Oh, really?
And with the freaking hat. But if you know that nose, you know it's him.
You know what? The more I hear this story, the more I like the fact that it kind of splinters out into all these little pots of pop culture all over the place. It's really adorable.
What you guys really didn't get about it is that we were all friends after that.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I want to get to at some point. It's like, because for me, the biggest mysteries now are just who was Lawrence Lim and what brought him to make this thing.
He was a jerk. Grace Jones slapped the shit out of him at a party.
at his nightclub, DV8.
He took her little boy, Dolph Lundgren, and Grace Jones had a little boy.
Yeah.
And he's taken me all over because I wasn't on the billboard.
Okay.
Went to this party and I didn't even get to see the actual fight, but everybody was like, oh my God. He took her little boy who could only been like a toddler at the time.
Yeah.
He took him away from where she was at.
Right.
It wasn't a real party. It was some kind of promotional thing. You know what I mean?
Okay, but she obviously didn't like the idea of him just walking off with her kid.
Honey, she's like Jamaican or Haitian, and she slapped the shit out of him.
Yeah, she is fierce.
Oh my God. But he had like these like old like vintage Mercedes-Benz limousines that you drive around in.
Because what I can piece together about him is that he comes from like a rich Chinese family.
Yeah,
his mother was married a famous singer that I escaped the name of right now. But at that time, he was basically, I think, living off her money and doing little projects.
Well,
like
I didn't
the
know
DV8
all that
club.
till later.
Yeah.
And he ran around wearing these like weird glasses, and like it was the 80s, the ugliest fashion.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
His assistant was this chick named Jennifer Jones, maybe weighed 70 pounds.
Yes.
And, she was always like, it's not going to be good. It's not good. It's not good. Like, these people are full of shit.
Yeah, wasn't she in charge of publicity or press or something?
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like her name pops up in one or two of the articles I've seen online.
Listen, I don't know about Lawrence's educational background or how he came up with Winkie. I mean, they were intoxicated. I'm not going to sit here and say I know what they were intoxicated on.
Yeah. But
it was let's just say it was the 80s. And people get crazy ideas and they talk about it really fast and tell you all these little details. They convinced me on one of these tangents to take a pair of Chuckies, which all-star Converse sneaker.
Okay.
The canvas sneaker, and cover it in Winkies. And Jennifer said she was going to help me, but she didn't. It was me and Sherry. We covered them in Winkies. We sent them to David Letterman. We never heard a peep, and he never wore them, as far as I know. We thought he would wear them. That's
fascinating, though.
I don't think David Letterman was into that kind of crass commercialism promotion. You know what I mean?
It probably came across as really quite rude. And you know what? It's almost
unsolicited.
Yeah, because it all seemed like at the end of the day, it was like, for everyone's involvement, it did seem like a vanity project for Dr. Winkie, because wasn't he painted on the billboard, was surrounded by women?
I think he was.
Yeah.
There was a poster. In fact, somebody put a picture of me on Facebook for my birthday, and I'm wearing this crazy wig and crown of Winkies, which people on Twitter apparently would kill themselves to get all the Winkies.
Yeah.
And there was like all these models holding him.
He's the biggest enigma in all this, certainly from our point of view, in that we're trying to trace why he did it, who designed it, how it got
took me
made.
to an empty mansion once in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Which was like weird. It was this mansion like right off of Santa Monica Boulevard. There's a lot of nice park there. I used to see Fred Astaire every morning walking through that park. He would always wave. He was a nice man. If you had the camera, I could show you the tube. Like I came up with the wedding invitations. Yes, he did know Keith Haring as a business. Did you see my email to you?
Yes.
Okay. So like it was a business thing. He painted a mural. I don't think Keithy liked him. I think because he was like famous like Donald Trump for not paying people. Yeah, I used to hang out in San Francisco in the 80s also.
Yeah.
Okay. And completely different scene from LA and from New York. Because like you used to go to New York because Jeff was from New York. And I used to go to New York because I grew up next door, tri-state areas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. Yeah, so they're completely different scenes. New York that's why Keith went from Kurtztown. Okay. He was actually born in Reading. I think that's how my mom met his mom because we used to go down to the Chef Boyardee plant and get big ass cans of ravioli and stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to leave our little towns. And to me, New York was just full of rats and trash. I love the scene.
Yeah.
But like, no way I'm going to go to LA. He's like, no way he's going to go to Pennsylvania. He's going to go to New York. And also, being gay in our little area, being gay, being interracial, being anything different than white redneck with a gun rack in your truck.
Yeah.
You're going to get bullied and picked on and shit. And he was always an artist. He was always different.
So he's going where he wants to be accepted, and he's being accepted in places which is outside the norm.
I mean, I wish I had went to New York because then I would have met Andy Warhol.
Well, that's
Scott. Oh my God, are you killing me? That would have been great.
And that's the thing at this time. The reason why this story is so interesting to me is that it is like a very strange moment in pop culture in the 80s where you've got all this conflation of like styles and merchandise and branding and then artwork and nightclubs and it's crazy.
The Swatch guy, who's Italian, I can't think of his name now.
Yeah.
I should know that, right? Because Swatch was everything.
It was huge.
They gave me a free Swatch watch. Everyone was so jealous. It was just a Swatch. It wasn't a Winkie Swatch.
No.
I know wedding rings had Winkies on them. And Jeff.
Really?
Yeah, I gave my ring to Jeff. I never would wear it.
Okay.
But, and Seiko was a robot that was in the last Rocky movie. Before Yeah, and a famous rich billionaire guy, he's the heir of the Scott Tissue or something like that. Maybe that could have been a lie. I don't know. But he was very mysterious. He controlled Seiko. And my best friend who was supposed to give me away that day had to have his artery stripped. So Seiko ended up giving me away. And my mother, who was born in 1922, used to be a nightclub singer. We flew her out, and she was standing on Seiko and dancing around with him. And we didn't get the negatives because Lawrence never paid the photographer.
See, that's it. I feel like a lot of really good stuff is lost because of his negligence. It's like he was burning everything behind her when it didn't work. Like I said,
there was intoxication issues.
Yeah.
There was maybe he was just too smart for his own good.
Okay. What was he like in terms of his personality? Was he kind of all talk or I don't know?
He was a bullshit artist. He was really I mean, listen, I wasn't raised with money, but I was around a lot of people of real wealth, not new money, like, where it was generational. And he had that air about him. Like, he didn't care if they got fed. He just thought they got fed because people get fed, don't they? Doesn't the servant bring you your dinner?
So were you part of a crew then or a team that looked after them? Or was it just
not until he couldn't. He didn't want to pay anybody to babysit the final four. So they put me in charge when they would go to New York or San Francisco.
Oh, right. So you were kind of left holding the baby, so to speak, like when...
Basically, yeah, because now I'm involved, I'm engaged, and they're like, we're going to pay for everything. We're going to do everything.
Right.
But I had to put my foot down about a lot of stuff.
Okay. So, like, he's basically saying, we're doing you a favor with me giving you X, Y, and Z.
I brought up Keith Haring doing the wedding invitations, but I wanted just the fucking primitive guys and girls dancing.
Yeah.
He's the one who put the Winkie heads on it.
Of course he did. He wanted it to be branding, didn't he? He wanted it everywhere.
Well, you've seen the posters, so like I really don't want to unwrap mine because you can see it's getting aged.
Okay.
And what we did is we sent them out in red tubes and we filled them with red, green, and gold rice to mess with everybody. And you're not going to believe this.
Go on.
I have a huge family, and I knew they wouldn't come, but I sent everybody one, and it came with the invitation to the reception also, the smaller version, and they threw them all away.
Whoa.
I just talked to a girl in LA. I'm like, don't you still have yours? Like, no, I don't know what happened to it.
That's crazy. I mean,
I actually don't even have one of my own. I have my sister Jerry's that she never opened it.
right.
She heard because people had opened it and told her about the rights, and she's a neat freak. She lost her mind.
Fair enough. Yeah. So that's the other thing as well, is because this was just kind of, I don't know what to say. It's like, because it was 6 months of everyone's life, the fact that it kind of just disappeared immediately is what kind of makes the story interesting, because
It's LA.
well, it's LA, and this is like the next best thing's coming along the
during
corner.
That time, Good Morning America interviewed us.
Yeah.
People came from Japan and Germany. I've never seen any of these things. My only footage I had, somebody taped over it on the old, videotape VCR. I never saw the Good Morning America interview. Well, I did. That's a lie. I think I saw it there in that morning, because like they came at like 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. to get us, because it's filmed in New York. And Paul Hartman was supposed to interview us, and they put it off on Joan London. She was the new girl,
right,
at the time, and she was wonderful. She was so bubbly and lovely. And she's like, so what does your family think? I'm like, well, they don't know. Or Jeff might have said they don't know. I was like, they do now, because everybody was Good Morning America back then.
So how long was it between you meeting him and you and then getting married? Was it a few months or a few weeks?
To look at, like, I used to journal, but it was definitely in January that I met him. And then the proposal thing, which I didn't get an engagement ring, and I'm not a jewelry person. He did buy me one later on for my birthday. Okay. But and it was Valentine's Day, and I was there because I brought cookies for my entire office in Beverly Hills. And I had more cookies, and I took them over to the billboard. And I think at this point there was only the 4 of them left.
Right.
When I first saw it, there might have been 8 or 9 people there. I saw it right after Christmas, right before New Year's. I loved Hollywood. Yeah. Not because I wanted to be an actor or dancer or singer or model. People wanted me to model. People wanted me to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah. I was more introverted. I like writing. I mean, I'm extroverted, but I'm not.
I see what you mean. So you're expressive, but it's kind of, you don't like to show off.
And Jeff is the same way. And that's like, people thought it was scammy or shammy or whatever they want to call it. Yeah. It was a real true connection.
Right. Okay.
And if I had been a little older, more mature, because they were making bets on how long the relationship will last, my friends and other people.
Really? So when it was wrapping up then, the whole experience, and you've met all these celebrities because people were stopping by, what was happening towards the end of, because I know they said they came up with an agreement where the 4 of them would
devolved
sign.
into a lot of disgruntled and dissatisfaction. Sherry Davis didn't speak for 4 months. She took a vow.
Really?
I was letting them do whatever they wanted to do because I thought it was all a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. People weren't getting paid.
So it was like the wheels were coming off it towards the end.
Well, everything did. The wedding did come off, okay? And the night we were at the La Madrion. Okay. That famous, the red, yellow, and we had the reception there, and there were a lot of people there. I don't remember everybody because I started drinking in the morning in the limo. Pasadena. I was at my sister's house in Pasadena with my mom and family members. And so, push button limo, push button bar. Yeah. It was all morning. And I said my vows in perfect Yiddish, Hebrew. But so we're at the La Madrion. Yeah. Now the party's over and everybody had a grand time, truthfully. Right. It really went well. There's paparazzi everywhere. I don't know how celebrities deal with that shit. I couldn't see anything. Wow. When I walked down Sunset Boulevard with the robot, Seiko. We had to walk up the steps to the billboard. We had a great time. We had the wedding. Everybody got changed. We went to a reception. And that night, just to stick it to Lawrence, I ordered, I think it was 3 or 4 jabooms of champagne.
Wow.
Why not? Baby. Yeah, because I knew it was a joke.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, actually. Because there was one question that I think you asked, and I wanted to ask it as well, is that you've not been able to track down Sherry Davis. And
I know.
One of the questions I have, is just Jeff Olan suggested the idea that she might have been a ringer and was promised to win. And then that's why she agreed to do the New York one.
That conspiracy. I mean, that's the only conspiracy theory I know of that he ever floated. No, that's not true. Sherry and I were very close.
Okay. It's just because we don't know. I don't know too much about it. It's interesting that she went to do it in New York for a little time afterwards.
I don't know what happened. Yeah,
the picture you see
Sherry just disappeared after the wedding. Okay. Yeah. After the booms of champagne, we all sat up in the hotel. We ordered pizza. We got twisted, and all the Winkies stayed up in our honeymoon suite with us.
God Almighty.
Everybody left. Yeah, and Sherry did disappear. And it was just me and the Jeffs, and the two Winkies and Oli got an apartment, and me and Jeff moved into a cottage right next to Tower Records in Spago.
Oh, cool. That's a lovely site.
So, I just kept on living my Hollywood life.
Yeah.
I loved Hollywood because I loved the movies and I loved scripts. And and Jeff, he went back into the food industry.
Okay.
He worked for years at the University of Judaism, managing their cafeteria. And
so he went back to that, and then just like, I imagine once everything calmed down, it just all kind of just faded away.
Well, the guys, they sought legal action. They were furious. Because he never gave up the money, the trip to Hawaii, the car, whatever that was promised.
The screen test and things like
that. See, I'm black, Sherry's black, and Jennifer Jones, who I never liked, is black.
Okay.
She's one of those people that we call it Oreo, black on the outside, white on the inside.
Right.
I never trusted that chick.
Okay.
So I don't know what was going on behind my back with those two girls.
Right.
But I know what was going on in my mind, and how you hear me, how you see me is how I am. I don't know about motivations and playing games. And I felt bad for the Jeffs because they did do 6 months up there.
And they'd all agreed, hadn't they, to come down at once, and then she turned around and went back up?
No, she did not go back up.
Oh, the story goes is that she went back up there just to kind of...
No, she might have went back up to get her stuff. I don't know. She, like I said, she didn't talk for 4 months.
Yeah, that's the other strange thing.
She did not speak to me. We wrote notes and hand gestures.
But you never explained why she went silent.
I kept trying to get, because of the guys.
Oh, okay. It was just all a bit too much for her.
Sherry was insanely gorgeous in the color of a Hershey bar. The woman was just perfection.
Right.
I don't know what went on before I met them because did they start with like 16 or something? 13 or something?
I think 12, or something. And then they got rid of a few quite quickly. And then by the time I think they got into the new year, it was down to like 6.
I don't know how many women were up there, Jeff Winkie, I don't think he had any kind of malice in his body at all, like or anything like that. I mean,
but I can imagine if you're up there for 6 months, at the end of the day, it's like that patience begins to wear thin.
I forget what triggered her not speaking.
It just seems like it's strange that if she had that bad a time, why she'd want to go and do it again in New York for a few weeks.
I forgot about that. See, it's amazing what you forget, And then like Jeff Olan and Jeff Winkie ended up, because we used to go see Jeff Winkie's shows, all of us together.
Okay.
And his name was Just In Case.
Get it? What kind of show did he do?
You go to those big monster truck rallies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he would like be the entertainment, jumping over stuff, and we watched him get so devastatedly injured once.
Oh, so like an Evil Knievel thing.
I actually punched this white guy in the audience because they're like, "Yeah, he's not even bleeding."
Wow.
And the Jeffs tried to stop me. Stewie and Oli tried to stop me, and I just attacked this guy because I'm in like shock. Our friend, we watched his body contort. It was horrible, but he was fine. He's like, "Yeah, I'm good." We go to the hospital. He's like, "Yeah, I'm good." So he's like, a body cast. I'm fine.
So he was doing the whole Evil Knievel thing then at that time.
Yes, he wanted to be a Hollywood stuntman.
Wow.
And so Jeff was working in television production, doing commercials. He did like a lot of he did a famous Sprint commercial where the lady gets pulled back into her cubicle. They're going through the office of Sprint. It was a phone company.
Yes. Yeah.
And the little chubby lady is talking. They're all talking to the employees, and this lady, she like ducks out of her cubicle, and then she gets pulled back in like magic.
Yeah.
That was my husband. My husband was there.
Okay.
They did Dick Clark. They did Mutual of Omaha. Yeah, we still a lot of, and I had a lot of the props. I don't know what I have left now, but I mean, he did a lot of work.
So when you look back on it now, is it like, when they say the past is a different country, do you see it as this wild moment in your life? Do you recognize it?
Oh, I look at it like if it had been filmed, it would have been the first reality show.
Well, yeah, it would have been. You're right. There was so much of that kind of Big Brother thing.
You got to know about the Hollywood Strip, right? I mean, Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like the Seven Veil Strip Club. Is it Motley Crue or was it Poison? Who did the girls video?
That's Motley Crue.
Yeah. I met all of them because they were at the strip club, the Seven Veil. And the worst story of all is like, because I didn't have a car, but I used to go with my roommate when I was like, we would drive together to the CPA that we worked for.
Yeah.
And so I would take the bus down to visit them. And at Hollywood and Vine was a great big Mercedes building, right? And I
Yeah.
would catch the bus there. But see, Santa Monica is where the boys turn tricks. Sunset's where the girls turn tricks.
Right.
So I'm down there looking, all fresh faced in a mini skirt and sneakers, Reeboks, they were the thing. And I got hit on so many times. People thought I was a prostitute. Catching the bus to go down to the west side of Sunset. Because I lived in the Hollywood Hills, which is off of Cahuenga and Vine and Ivar, old Hollywood.
Yeah.
The old USOs on Ivar. Cahuenga is where that one club is where we ran into Prince. His old, I forget the name of that club. Anyway, but it was crazy. There were these guys that were dwarfs that were rich real estate developers. They were on a lot of TV shows back in the 80s.
Okay.
They were twins.
Okay.
They were twin dwarfs that were rich real estate developers.
That is a sentence I'd never
and
thought
one
I'd
of them
hear
tried
before.
to pick me up as a prostitute at the Mercedes-Benz building on Sunset as I was taking the bus down to see Jeff.
See that in many respects? It's a
Is
mad
that crazy?
thought. It's a mad thought. It's like if you wrote that in a script, it would be told
It's
to be
crazy.
ridiculous.
And I'm like, how are you even driving? He had this specially equipped van.
It's shameless, though. It is shameless because it's like I briefly lived in LA for a while in 2000. So
you know.
Well, I got to know the area and I got to know some parts of it, quite well. But there was that sense of that whole part of Hollywood, anything could happen, just depending on what street you went on.
Hollywood, see, because nobody's from there.
No.
There's a weird dichotomy. There's a lot of heart and good, decent people there. And then on the other side, like you're saying, everything is for sale. Like, I did not look like a prostitute. I have a very athletic body. I had very small breasts. I wasn't exposing skin. I didn't wear wild makeup. I was just probably wearing shorts or a jean miniskirt and sneakers and a t-shirt. A rich old white guy in a Silver Shadow. I forget the name of the streets now because it's been so long, but a couple blocks before Sweetster, I was walking. Yeah. And this rich old man, he looked like the crypt keeper with glasses in the Silver Shadow Rolls Royce. I love cars. I'm like, wow, look at this car. And like I said, I don't wear makeup, and I keep my hair cut like a boy. It's long now, but back then, always short.
Okay.
He offered me $5,000 to go home with Abe.
Whoa.
And I'm like, seriously, dude? I'm like, I have a boyfriend. And this old dude thinks, maybe he didn't think I was a prostitute. Maybe he thought, $5,000 and she'll come with me.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's the ugly side of Hollywood. And the Harvey Weinstein is the ugly side of Hollywood.
Well, yeah.
There's a very deep-seated heart. And see, another thing is people come from all over the world to become famous in Hollywood. All these beautiful people.
And they're chewed up and spat out.
Only 1% become famous, so the other 99% breed. Yeah. So you have the most gorgeous, you were there, you have the most gorgeous people. Tell me, are they beautiful in Hollywood?
Yeah, they can be.
Store clerk, 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
The guy at the video store, which doesn't exist anymore. Well, Quentin Tarantino worked at a video store.
Everyone who worked at Tower Records could have been in a 90s indie movie.
Exactly. Exactly.
So when you got in touch with me and we started the conversation, is it weird talking about it now? Did you think it was like just a relic? Because I'm surprised the story's not been told more often.
We were friends for so long, and then the Keithy connection. And okay, so is it weird talking about it? No, because I regret divorcing my husband.
Okay. I
had to get out and get away at the time. I mean, we were married for 2.5 years, and we beat everybody's stupid bed. Idiot. I truly adore him and love him to this day. And I've been married twice since then. So anyway, it's like, and I was talking to some friends, and they bring up, does it bother you about the Winkie thing, or do you think it was a flash in the pan, what have you?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, because the Winkie thing is one thing. Our relationship as friends, being married is another. Yeah. And I regret leaving my husband. He didn't want the divorce. I wanted the divorce. I wanted to be free to do what I wanted to do. Yeah. Okay. And he wasn't into this stuff, but he liked to go shopping, and he liked at stores. He liked fashion. He liked food. He was just a really funny person. He loved our cats. He loved our old funky Oldsmobile station wagon. He was heartbroken when I took it. I mean, Jeff was a great guy. My whole family adored him except for one sister who's a bitch. She told Jeff's mother on our wedding day that her son was not attractive enough to marry me.
Nice. Just what you want to hear. Excellent
what a
stuff.
Okay. Yeah. And so you guys say cunt all the time. When we say it over here, we mean it. Everybody else loved Jeff. All my friends adored him. Like I said, they remained friends until some of them passed away.
Yeah.
And so that's all the way up into the young 2000s.
Well, I mean, from my point of view, it's just I just want to say thank you for reaching out and helping us tell this story,
I
because
was kind of being a bitch when I reached out, tell the truth. But after being angry with you guys, I listened to, because it's a long episode.
yeah,
I can see that you have this genuine affection. And I'm like, oh, you haven't been around English people in a while. You forget how they are.
yeah,
And I don't know how Dr. Winkie, Lawrence, I don't know how he got the idea. I mean, because pole sitting has been a thing in our country for a long time.
yeah. Flagpole sitting was a whole thing in the
Yeah.
20s.
So I don't know. I see he was always intoxicated. That's in like imaginary air quotes, intoxicated and not alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got the idea. And so it's supposed to be this interactive friend, but all he did was blink red and green.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes, okay, so you can press the button on the back of him and make him only red or make him only green. You notice if you press the little buttons on the back of the chip?
Yeah, it alternates the flashing lights.
Yeah, I think it has 3 settings, correct?
Yeah. So like
I love you guys calling it a badge.
yeah, it's a pin, but yeah, it's just for me, it's a lovely badge.
No, it was not a pin. It was your interactive friend. It was jewelry. That was Lawrence's line. He was so full of shit. Yeah, that was him. He was like, I don't know how he truly was in his real life, but I'm kind of glad I did it. I mean, I don't regret it at all. I regret what the boys went through. I shouldn't say boys, but everybody, we were really young. Nobody was. Of
course.
But I do feel bad for what they put into that effort. And they were treated very shabbily. But if it hadn't been for me, truthfully, I mean, they wouldn't have. And they kind of went shell shocked too when I took him off the billboard to Mayfair Market, and he was like having PTSD. He couldn't stand to be around the people. It was weird. Yeah, so they had it bad. I mean, yeah, they got a place to shit. It was a lovely little apartment on Sweetser down below the billboard, and we had a guard for a while. I think they stopped paying the guard service too.
They also stopped paying the billboard people to have them up there, didn't they?
They stopped paying the billboard. They stopped paying the They were treated really badly, and they had these Jeff Olan really thought that he was going to be. I think was there something about being an actor?
There was a screen test and a potential Winkie movie.
Right?
Yeah, and I guess to be fair, at the end of all of that, you'd at least want something, rather than memories.
Well, they got to be good friends. Like I said, Winkie and Oli, they were roommates for years.
Okay.
And Jeff and I were together for 2.5 years, and we were still friends for about, I wouldn't call it, I don't know. He just
long enough.
I don't know. I mean, I love Jeff to this day. I stand by my decision at the time. I regret that we can't be friends. And I'm glad that Oli and I can still be friends. I mean, it's, I moved home to Pennsylvania. I had a son, and then I moved to Ohio after the election in 2016. I had to get,
Okay, so you've kind of gone to where you feel safer, so to speak?
Well, it's more metropolitan here.
Yeah. From my point of view, it's like there's a lot of gaps and a lot of things I just wanted to know. And between the three of you, I've got a really good story. The only real mystery is Lawrence, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Like, what did I say in the beginning of this interview? Lawrence Lynn, man of mystery. He was full of shit, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, he was promising things to people behind our backs. Like I said, I got to meet the guy that designed the Swatch thing.
Yeah.
I think was a clothing designer to start with. I got to meet Vidal Sassoon. I got to meet Grace Jones and Dolph Lundgren.
No, but that's the thing, I think. I think it's like, it's that era, that age, and it's not until you get age and wisdom that you look back and go,
And young people being promised, they had stars in their eyes, or like they wanted the money, in the car and the trip, and like I was always on the outside looking in, and I always knew it was bullshit. That this guy was not doing, because I knew about the apartment manager. I knew because I talked to the people that lived in the apartment. Just like I said, when you're around people of real wealth, you can see the cracks in the foundation.
And there were a ton of cracks.
Free, everything's sponsored. I do believe he owed Keith Haring money at the end. He kept the original block that printed our invitations, which is kind of crappy since they were made for us.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like he's hoovering up all those memories, all that nostalgia, all that merch.
Personally, I'm a vindictive American. I'm glad he got robbed and he supposedly purported $10 million, which I don't know about that. But he was from a wealthy family, and but he did have an engineering. He did have some kind of education to come up with the microchip thing. That I don't want to besmirch.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened to him. He went down some rabbit hole. I know you guys love that term.
I do.
And maybe he could have been a nicer person, better person. He could have kept his promises. They should have got a signed contract. I do believe they did get something. But I do believe there was a contract.
Okay.
And that's why they sought legal remedy. And there was an article about that, too. I'm not in that article, thank God. I felt a little embarrassed to even be a part of the situation at the time.
Yeah.
Because I knew that they were getting ripped off. They didn't understand it. When they started leaving to go to New York and San Francisco and putting me in charge.
Yeah.
And I
you
was
saw
not
the
paid.
writing.
I saw the writing on the wall. Like,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Thank you, Paul. Exactly. And I thought, this sucks.
So you saw it coming and they got the shell shock of like it abruptly being a cold shower at the end.
I wasn't a babe in the woods. Okay. Yeah. So it's like, I saw it coming. I'm like, this is so mad. Yeah. And they really did. They had a bathroom. Yes, they had a bathroom.
Yeah.
But the food delivery was donations from the restaurants, which was cold and soggy. And
yeah. Little doggy bag stuff.
After 6 months. And they did need the fresh fruit, by the way. So, yes, this bitch did bring them fresh fruit. It's California. We're known for it.
Of course. You want to at least make sure they're getting their vitamin D and C. And on that cheery note, I'm going to say goodnight, but look after yourself, okay?
Cheers, mate.
Take care. I'll give you a shout. I'll give you a shout when the episode goes up so you can have a listen, all right?
All right. Thanks, Paul.
You look after yourself, Penny. Take care. Stay safe.
You too. Thank you.
So Penny's an interesting character. I think she's led a life, quote unquote. And I like the fact that she's boisterous.
She's got a great voice. It's not any one sort of region, I can tell.
It seems like she's bounced around from east to west coast, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe it's just like, I don't know, that's like, I don't know. Either way, it's just, I find it fascinating. I think she genuinely does regret the outcome to the Winkie and the wedding. You know, I get the impression that...
Well, she seems like she was still in love with the guy. She says she wants to be married to him still. I mean, she wasn't beating about the bush about it.
No, I agree. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I still have very fond feelings of my ex when I was married, you know, and I still romanticize about that sometimes. But I also know, like, you know, things sometimes happen for a reason.
Yeah, but she didn't. She seemed genuinely like she'd walk back into that relationship if she could. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and as I say, it's like it's weird now because as these stories have all come together, because as I say, the two of the Jeffs have got back in touch and they're working on projects, and I think Penny as well. She's had Winkie brought back into her life because other people have heard of this stupid bloody podcast. Basically,
she called up and got chatting with the guy, and then came and visited Jeff. And that was it. But then she also started working for Lynn. You know what I mean? That's not clear.
It's that transient nature, I think, of, you know, just being young and dumb, you know, and in LA.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, she got swept up in it. And I think, as she points out, she kind of got left holding the baby.
Yes.
Lynn was fucking about all over the place, working on his club and going to New York. And meanwhile, she has to feed and maintain the security.
Basically, it came out of her own pocket, a lot of it seems like, didn't it? Like, she, you know.
But also, she got to rub shoulders with a lot of, you know, celebrities. Like, the Grace Jones story is fantastic.
Right, yeah.
Because if anyone knows what she did on Russell Harty, it doesn't surprise me at all that she'd slapped the fuck out of him.
She slapped Lynn, is what the story basically says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play.
So, yeah, and that you do get... She definitely thinks that Lynn was sort of just not trying to spend the least money as possible on it by the end of it. He'd probably moved on. He'd moved on in his mind, hadn't he, by then, probably, you know?
Very likely. It was interesting when she talks about the marketing they tried to drum up, like the sneakers that they sent to David Letterman's show.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I just feel like he treated it like a fringe festival gig. You know, where it's kind of like, who can fly her? Who can do this? Who can hawk their wares for the promise of getting into my club or hanging out with my celeb mates?
He definitely used his sort of cachet and hanging on to get people to work for him. And Penny was. It sounds like she was sort of like being a sort of personal assistant to all of them by the end.
But as a result of his kind of flighty nature, when that ended with the wedding in June, it was like, I think they signified the ending of the whole experience with the wedding. It was like how to close it off.
Yeah.
That I think you're right, he moved on to something else. And so just the complete and utter abandonment of the winners. And the fact that they didn't get their prizes. And the fact that, you know, they were left, you know, or they had to publicise themselves afterwards.
Terrible. I've written in my notes, Paul, twin dwarf real estate moguls. Did I dream that?
No, that is something definitely that happened.
Right.
That happened, yes. That's what we call a typical LA story from 1980s.
So were they he was hanging out with them, basically. Lynn
No.
was an associate of the Twin Dwarf real estate moguls.
No, I think Penny was implying that just in her time outside the billboard, people kept stopping and trying to offer sex, and they were just two random passers-by.
Okay, but she said they were kind of famous at the time.
Well, probably, if you're two small real estate people, I can imagine that's quite the USP.
Did she also say at one point that Emperdink Humperdinck, what's he called? Humperdinck Emperdink.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Engelbert Humperdinck has a club called Bangers or something.
Possibly. I can't. There's so many random facts that come out of her story that
Humperdinck
sometimes
has a club called Bangers.
Yes.
Bizarre. But it's interesting also getting her take, because she's much more critical of Lynn than Jeff, isn't she?
I think to some extent Jeff kind of rolled with the punches and kind of put a good spin on it, whereas she saw the bullshit. I to some extent exploited it, but I don't think that involved the wedding, because as we found out, I think that was very important to her.
It was genuine. It seems like they genuinely were in love, and it's like she was trying to sort of balance, the pure sort of showbiz schmaltzy hollowness of the whole thing with, trying to actually. It's never gonna be easy to start a long-term marriage when you get married as part of a publicity stunt on top of a billboard. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
possibly, but
it's not a good start.
It's not a good start, and I think you can tell from the the comments of some of her friends and family at the time that it was all looked down upon.
Yeah.
What was interesting from both of these stories is again, thank you to Penny for spending her time talking with me. We'll put the unedited one up on our Patreon. Also, Patreon exclusive will be my trip to LA. I've just decided now I'm going to put that trip to LA as a Patreon exclusive where I go on my Winkie pilgrimage.
Yeah.
But what was interesting that came out of both stories was the fact that, and I didn't know this, but after it all stopped, then let's remember, by 85 of June, the toy was probably dead on its arse.
He stopped paying rent. He didn't pay the rent on the billboard.
No.
I mean...
Yeah, because I think he didn't even think it was going to last that long.
Did they get evicted? Is that what was going to happen? Were they going to get kicked off by the...
Pretty much.
Right.
And that's why they formed the pack to come down together and split it.
And it's Sherry Davis.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's fair to paint her as a bad guy, because it's easy to think that, let's just say she wasn't a plant and was promised a win. Let's just say that the win that she did achieve was fair and square. What boggles my mind is the fact that Winkie tried it again in New York a few months later.
Yes,
and that to me is absolute arrogance.
He asked Jeff though as well, so she wasn't a plant. She just got the offer that Jeff got.
But if she was so unhappy with everything and with them, with the guys, why would you agree to do it again in New York? Because there's an article from the New York News. I can't find the date, unfortunately. Jeff sent me this, so thank you again to Jeff. It says, actress Sherry Davis made it to the top of Broadway by setting up temporarily on a billboard high above Great White Way. So, they're talking about New York now, not LA. Davis is the living billboard and is advertising the Winkie, a decorative microchip with a red and green light that is supposed to be worn as a pin or earring.
At least they just didn't say whatever the fuck that is.
That's true, yeah. The ascent to Broadway began on December 11th when she and 11 other actors, and that was the other thing, it looked like it wasn't all actors, it looked like it was a fair mix. But anyway, entered the Winkie contest to see who could live the longest on a 15-foot tall billboard on Sunset Strip in LA. Davis, 26, won. She stayed on the billboard for 184 days, 9 days longer than anyone else. That's probably not true, but we don't know. Then she and Lawrence Lynn, 30, an owner of Xtronics Inc. of San Francisco, whose manufactures the Winkie, decided to take their show on the road and come to New York. She travelled cross-country on a truck with a billboard on it, and Tuesday she climbed the stairs to a 5-story building housing a dance school and a car dealership on Broadway and West 56th Street, and began living on a colourful Winkie billboard 88 feet above Great White Way. Once she's finished her reign on Broadway, Davis plans to collect her prizes from the company, which is a trip to Haiti, a Honda Civic, a role in a movie about the microchip, and a part in a commercial for Winkie to be aired on MTV. None of that happened.
Wow, imagine there was a movie. They were talking about a Winkie movie.
I know.
That would be so shit.
It would have been an E.T. kind of wank,
yeah,
Short Circuit.
Except all it does is winks. It doesn't talk.
Mate, can you imagine if Short Circuit ended up being originally a script for Winkie?
That is not outside the realm
It's
of
not.
believability at all.
Because you hear of these movies like Die Hard 4 was originally going to be Lethal Weapon 6 or something,
Yeah.
Anyway, Davis says she plans to stay on the 3-foot by 48-foot billboard as long as New York is willing to wink back at me. She has a 19-inch colour television set, a stereo, 2 fig plants to keep her company in her penthouse, quote-unquote, as well as a telephone. Davis, a tall, thin model and actress with a gold streak in her hair, plans to come down twice a day for 15-minute pit stops. To go to the bathroom, take a shower and change clothes in an apartment nearby. Her food will be provided by the Hard Rock Cafe, so she had the shits the whole time she was up there and will be brought up to her. She'll be protected round the clock by bodyguards provided by the company, but she said she feels a lot safer than she did in her apartment in San Francisco. Who's going to come up here? Davis asked with a laugh. For protection from the elements, she has a plexiglass roof, sleeps on a foam mattress. Why would she want to live on a billboard? Well, I was bored, Davis said. Anyway, I always wanted to be a star on Broadway, and this is the most fun way to do it.
It's not a way to do it, though, is it?
No. It's like saying, I've always wanted to be in the West End, so I jumped on top of the Palladium and got the balls out. You know, you haven't performed at the West End.
Yeah.
Davis said her family and friends thought she was crazy until they heard about the prize. Yeah, her life on a billboard in California had some added benefits too. She said actor-playwright Sam Shepard stopped by and she got a call from Dolly Parton, Matt Dillon and Dustin Hoffman, who told her, if I was 10 years younger, I'd be up there myself. I can't do Dustin Hoffman.
That's, well, you tried, Paul. You tried.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think I sounded more like Al Jolson.
Yeah.
So we'll move on. But what gets me is, this is where the story literally dies for the badge for me. We don't know what happened to Sherry. We presume she didn't get the prizes. We presume she's disappeared. No one's heard of her. I couldn't find any trace of her outside of this story.
That just always gives me the fear. It just gives me the fear, that lonely feeling of someone.
Unless she's still up there and they just haven't brought her down yet.
No.
But this is why it's unfair to paint her strictly as a villain. I think it's more interesting to say that, just like Jeff, she wanted to be famous.
Yes, but she also is definitely working with Lynn to some extent. And
We don't know. We don't know that.
How come she wins in New York? I don't understand. Why is she alone up there?
Well, as Jeff said, it seemed like it was like a freak show, but more kind of pathetic because his friend said he was in New York at the time and called her because he could see her from her window, you know? So this is what gets me about the exploitation of this. And the only person to walk away from it without shit on their hands is Lawrence Lynn, who just goes on to create another business or another enterprise or another nightclub. Because since then, he's been involved in all kinds of weird businesses, small tech, other nightclubs, a media company called Loop Media that made videos for online companies.
Okay.
And apparently he's still working out of his home address in San Francisco. But that's all we know. And I did get an email, but I have decided not to get in touch because I kind of worry that that's a bad idea.
What, you got an email from Lynn?
No, I've got an email. I've got his email address, apparently, potentially. But
okay.
I kind of feel like getting in touch with him
could stop the whole of this podcast.
There's also that,
Yeah.
So this all brings us to...
Well, it's the next chapter in the story after the billboard, really, for us, isn't it, Paul? It's the final chapter.
It links back to the question we had at the beginning. Why is there a French song about Winkie, right?
Why?
Why was a song released almost a full year later? And you're about to find out why next. So, here's how it goes. The biggest mystery to this was the song for us, right? Because we couldn't understand its relation.
Because the toy definitely had not been released anywhere else in the world.
So, we couldn't find the connecting tissue. You know, as we explained in the earlier episode, we went looking for the songwriter, and we found that the songwriter, Claude Tognetti, awful with French pronunciations.
Tognetti.
We found his YouTube video of the Nostradamus French beatbox track with the blunt-smoking kitten in the brick wall.
Which we were the first person to have viewed it.
In almost 10 years, yes.
It was like the YouTube equivalent of a Google bang or whatever they used to call it.
Google whack, yeah.
Yeah, right. It was a YouTube whack, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He'd literally uploaded it. He hadn't even watched it himself on YouTube.
Probably not.
Do you know what I mean?
But once that became a massive dead end, I decided to reach out to a friend of mine. Her name is Rowena, and she works in the music. And I used to do comedy with her back in the day, but she used to do improv. But now she works in music. And I said, listen, because we tried to track the song down, like who owned it, and it bounced from one independent company to French Warner Brothers to some other thing. We just wanted to know if we could reach out to any of the songwriters. And so she put me in touch with a guy who put me in touch with another guy who said, I found him and you can reach out to him on Facebook. And I did. And so I managed to get in touch with the composer of the track, one Laurent
Gasperis.
So I reached out to him on Facebook, not eBay. God damn it, Paul.
Stop using eBay to date Frenchmen.
Right, so I reached out to Laurent on Facebook and I went, hey, my name's Paul Gannon, I do a podcast. Do you remember ever doing a song called Winkie? And I think he got in touch with me not too long, like 5 minutes later, saying, wow, I've not been asked about Winkie for 35 years.
Fucking crazy.
What do you want to know? And I went, oh, so much.
Everything.
But as it turned out, he didn't have much to say, but what he did say made a lot of sense. So I agreed to speak to him on Zoom. This is another little interview I did with him. This is only about 10 minutes, but I think in those 10 minutes, it pieces it all together. So with that in mind, please enjoy this interview, which explains just why the hell this song exists. Hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, me too.
So thank you for agreeing to speak to me. I know it's probably strange and out of the blue, but I really appreciate it.
It was very a big surprise, your mail yesterday, because it's a long, very old story for me, the Winkie.
I can imagine you've probably not spoken about it much, to be fair.
That makes me laugh yesterday when you say we were very surprised, a French song. And you wonder, why is it in French? It was very funny.
Yeah, because initially I thought, did they try and sell it in France, in Canada, in the French Quarter maybe, and things like that. But no, it was a kind of a loose end. So I contacted a few friends of mine who work in the music industry in the UK, and they tracked you down. And then, funnily enough, you're on Facebook, and so we reached out. And I thought, so finally, you can now tell me your involvement and how this came to be, because we would genuinely love to know.
Yeah, so that my friend Claude Tognetti, the writer of the lyrics and the producer, I think he's the producer too, Claude Tognetti. So it's a guy I knew for a long time ago, and he went to see me in '85 and said, I've found a funny thing in a little badge in New York, and I'm planning to buy the license for France and try to sell it in France. But I think it was funny if we made a song together. We used a long time before to make some music together. And I said, well, do you want to try to make music with me? And I have some lyrics. I can speak about explain what the Winkie is on the lyrics of the song, and do you want to make some music on it? I say, okay, but what is the purpose? To dance music? What do you want? Say, yeah, I think it's better for dance music and try to make people dance on the club with that. So that's the way we did it. It was just like this, and it was very fun to do it because we do it very quickly. No brainstorming and nothing. Just starting with a beatbox, and I plugged I had a mini Moog at that time, and I played the bass line and said, okay. So I plugged my guitar and I said some. The freaks is chic, just like kind of guitar, rhythm guitar like that.
Yeah,
and it was okay. But the project felt totally in France, As Claude before was working maybe previously he had worked in EMI in France, so he had some connection in EMI. And when we got the mix finished and all that, he said, I'm gonna call and try to have a rendezvous with the EMI because I knew some guys still working there, and and they say, okay, we can try to distribute the. And I say, okay, well, let's try. Well, nothing happened. The radio didn't play it, and so we tried to get to shoot a video clip, as I told you yesterday.
Yes.
But it's very funny. I can send it to you if you really want to see.
You have to send this. You have to.
It took me 2 hours yesterday because I didn't know where it was, in which hard disk it was. So
yeah.
I finally found it, and I'm gonna send it to you. But it's very funny. It's very low budget.
Yes.
It was like this. So after end of the story, because the record failed and the Winkie failed. So, end of the story.
It's strange though, because when we first heard it, it felt like the theme to a TV show or a movie almost as well, because it had that sense of you're about to see an adventure with this small little toy. And I don't know if you ever got your hands on the badges, but when they came out, there was like a gatefold sleeve, and in it was like this history of the toy, what it did, the planet it came from, all of these crazy things. And it just seems like your song just exists in a parallel timeline to the original understanding. But it's such a fun song. And when we discovered it, and I apologize in advance, but me and my co-host decided to get a translation of it into English, and we re-recorded it.
Sorry, excuse me. Do you understand the French words?
Well, a friend of mine speaks French, so luckily they translated it, and then I adapted it to make it scan for English. So we did a very, I think, decent translation, but what do I know? And we recorded it for our podcast just for a laugh to put it in English. And it was one of like our audience's like strongest reactions to something. People love that track, and it's because I do a lot of pop culture stuff online. This story of Winkie and the badge is just not been told. It's a blip in history, and so discovering the song, discovering your good self, the people who I've spoken to 3 of the people who lived on the billboard in LA, and so I've been building this whole story up of the whole legacy of Winkie and the man who created it, who's a mysterious, crazy figure. I don't know. It's a beautiful story. I thought we'd never figure out the song element, and so it's just really been good to have you speak to us and find out a little bit more. From us to you, we just want to say thank you for delighting us.
No, thank you. I was very surprised when you wrote yesterday that it was a huge hit. I've never heard about that anywhere about the Winkie, and I don't know which part of the world was it a hit, because.
It's funny. You're obviously a very small part of a much bigger story you're not aware of, and all these other strange characters that exist around the fringes. We did do a bit of research into your writing partner on that song, and we found a video on YouTube he put up, and I think it was 2012 or 2013, and it was a strange rap, which I believe was about Nosferatu. And when we looked on it, we found out that me and my co-host were the first person to watch it on YouTube in the 7 years it had been on there. And so we couldn't find anything about him. So it was just amazing to find you to speak to about this. I don't have much more to add. Sorry. It's just, for me, this is just this mystery box that I like picking at. And I just want to know more. So so after the song was released, you kind of just washed your hands of it and moved on.
Yeah, so, I don't have so many things to say about it. It was something we tried. Okay. Funny things to do, but I've not talked about the Winkie since 35 years.
Yeah.
No, but because you wrote you want to make a documentary about that thing.
And off the basis of that, I'd love to tell it visually because I just think it's a really beautiful, strange, odd story with so many different factors. So that's the plan from my point of view.
Just about the badge, or no?
Everything.
But I think it has been mainly used on gay community, in California.
Oh, really? This is the thing I don't know. It was sold as a kid's toy because in America they had a pet rock, and this was kind of an electronic pet rock in that it didn't do anything, but you thought it did. But funnily enough, considering Lawrence Lim, who is Dr. Winkie, who was the guy who invented the badge, he had a few nightclubs, so it's not too far-fetched to think it was a nightclub accessory. But,
what else to say?
No, but this is the thing. There's not much to say, but it's just from my point of view, really wonderful that we got to speak to you today because we really appreciate it.
Have you tried to talk to Claude Tognetti? No?
I have not been able to reach out to him. I left a message on a Facebook page, which I don't think has been used in a while. I don't think he has Twitter. I left a message on YouTube, but I don't think he's looked at that in 10 years. So
no, I don't think it's a good thing to do because he's very schizophrenic now. He's very mentally.
Okay. Well, that's another issue. Then we obviously don't want to.
I have not seen him for years and years, but I have received 2 years ago things mail from him, and it was completely. Illogical and no sense. So
wow.
I was interested to know if you have recently talked to him.
No,
because it's 2 years ago. It seemed it was very mentally ill, destroyed. So
we got the impression that might have been the case, and even though we are a silly podcast, we're not in the habit of pushing things like that, and so we thought if that's the case and if it's confirmed by you, I'd rather we let it go because, as I say, speaking to you has been a true gift. So thank you very much for help us tell a bit more of the story.
No, I think you really should see the video. It's very funny. I have seen since yesterday. I have seen almost 10 times with everybody. Everybody laugh. It's so 80 mood. With the clothes and the haircut and so I send it to you. Really, it's a pleasure. But,
that's wonderful. Thank you, because we've. I don't know. It's just it's wonderful. So if you've got anything like that, we'd really appreciate it because it's I don't know. We've become quite close to Winkie.
The funny thing is, after your receiving your mail yesterday, I called my friend who was the singer of the song because I didn't sing in the song.
Oh, I didn't even think to ask that.
No. I've played the music and that, but I didn't want to sing it. So it was my bass player at that time. So okay, come, we are doing trying to record a funny song, and it's for fun, and he has completely retired from music now.
Right.
And I started calling us and they said, I have a good news for you. You are going to prepare yourself to sing the Winkie again. He couldn't believe that. He said, what are you talking about? What's happening on the Winkie? I said, well, I just received a call from a guy in London.
There's life in Winkie yet, I think, definitely. All right, well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you so much for speaking to me again. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye. So I kind of feel bad after that I didn't really ask him too much about his career, because it seems fascinating.
He's obviously a dance music producer. That was his main thing, wasn't it?
I looked him up on Discogs, and the people he has worked with, he's been vocals for Vangelis.
He did vocals himself for Vangelis records.
Well, I mean, is it Papathanasio?
Yeah, Vangelis, the guy who did the soundtrack for Blade Runner, and who was in Aphrodite's Child, who were a Greek psych rock band.
So he did vocals on that, and Vincent Malone, who I presume is a French artist. He also worked with Gypsy Kings instruments on that as well.
The Gypsy Kings are quite big, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, he's done writing and arranging. He's done kids' albums and a few kids' shows. And he's also worked with, musicals. He's had a rich, mostly instrumental career, I think.
Yes. He's one of those sort of guys. He's not like a pop. He doesn't write. He just is a bit of an all-rounder, he sounds like, can produce, play, sing.
And the fact is, I think he enjoyed the frivolous nature of making this song, I think.
It was very throwaway, yeah.
And that's why it sounds fun and daft and exciting, you know? And it's probably much better than it had any right to be. But it just seems weird that his friend went to New York, saw Sherry, saw the Winkie, thought, I'll buy into this, brings it to France and goes, right, this toy that has just shat the bed, you know, financially.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and sell it in France. Let's make a pop song. Right, great, I guess. Get airplay. It's no less ridiculous than a Billboard challenge,
It didn't
you know?
get any airplay, though, did it?
Which is a surprise, really. I don't know if it's because it's a bit too silly. Did no one take it seriously?
Well, it's a
but-
disaster in terms of the marketing again, because the toy hasn't even arrived. You want the toy to be on the shelves when the single. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like releasing a toy chain, but there's no cartoon to go with
Exactly.
it. It's that thing.
Exactly. There needed to be a Winkie animated cartoon as well. I mean, really.
Yeah. However, and in the video, I presume people listening were just as delighted as us. But when he said, "Oh yeah, we made a little pop video," I think I did a little bit of sex wee.
That is the most sex wee thing.
I think I made a little bit of Winkie ink. And so, Eli, would you like to see it right now?
I so would. This is top Winkie.
So I'm going to play it to Eli. Eli's going to watch and do a commentary of what he's seeing as it goes. If you want to see it, it'll be up on our website. I recommend you do, thecheapshow.co.uk. But Eli, I'm going to share the screen with you now.
Okay.
Here is the Winkie video. Tell us what you see.
Oh, they're in a nightclub.
It's not DV8. This is filmed in France on a budget
Okay.
of nothing, I think.
There's some cool people. They're in some kind of neon nightclub. There's lots of leather. Oh, yeah. Oh, someone's handing a Winkie across. The ladies have
Yeah.
arrived.
It looks like the Lost Boys,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it's the very-
and three Cyndi Laupers
Three
in a
Madonnas,
shopping
yeah.
mall.
It's Madonna from Desperately Seeking Susan, isn't it? Totally.
And there's Laurent just then.
Oh, that's
in the,
him.
In the black. I was going to say in the black jacket, but then I realised they're all wearing black
That's
jackets.
him. That's Laurent, is it? He looks pretty mean.
Yeah.
He's like, They're in some kind of shopping mall, aren't they?
Yeah.
Wow, cheap video.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, here comes Winkie.
Little animation. A little animated Winkie.
Hey!
Look at it.
Oh, they're giving a Winkie
And now-
conference.
Yeah. No, they're not giving a Winkie conference. They're doing a rock band. They're now.
He's on a
All the
podium.
leather's
There's
gone.
a podium thing. Oh, she's having a drink. They're in a mall, obviously, aren't they? How cheap
There he
is
is
this?
again, Laurent. But yeah, look.
Oh, he's winking.
Look how this is the most 80s thing I've seen
They're all-
ever.
He's winking. He's very on brand.
A Winkie. Yeah, and so he is the guest singer they brought in to play, which often explains why he's not strumming a guitar at all there.
He's pretending
But-
to play the guitar.
Oh, look, another animated Winkie.
Oh, mate, it's breakdancing. That animated Winkie is breakdancing.
And it is just...
And they've got
Packed.
traffic lights. They're comparing Winkie to a traffic light.
So right now we're looking at the three men, and now they're all dressed like black lace against a bank of TV monitors, and it's just 80s. It's got that pink and blue neon thing.
Yeah.
Remember that film Chopping Mall? It feels like someone made a pop video on the set of Chopping Mall.
Is it just because of the quality of the video, or it's all just jump shots? There's no actual movement.
No, they've just slapped it all together, haven't they? They've made a cheap music video because that was probably how they were going to get on, people to listen to it, because they could say, give it to the French MTV.
Oh, he's up there.
He's got a trumpet.
Oh, the trumpeteer's on a different
Oh.
level. He's got a vest.
Yeah.
Oh, he's shaking his ass.
He's shaking that ass. He's pointing. They're all pointing.
They're all pointing.
Everyone's
They're
pointing.
pointing at the Cyndi Laupers. There's three Cyndi
Yeah.
Laupers. It's as parallel with the three Jeffs, mate. There's three Laupers.
666. The mark of the beast is Winkie.
It's all triplets,
But
isn't
look,
it?
they're all... Seriously, this is like a John Hughes movie, but just French.
Yeah, it's so
There's the
80s.
Winkie in the background. I love this so much, though, because you can just tell they were like, what are we going to do in this video? And they went, we don't know.
They're
Just
jumping around.
dance.
Oh, look, here,
And pretend
that
to
guy.
play.
What, the trumpet guy's giving me the fear and a hard-on.
Well, good. All right, well...
He's nasty.
All right, well, I'm more fascinated with the Cyndi Laupers at the moment. They're
dancing.
giving me serious 80s tentage.
So I want to see more Wink. Oh, look, there's some animation there. Very
And there's
poor.
two men hugging, and they're all hugging. they're all doing this. I wonder what French mall that is and whether it's still open.
Oh, why are there pictures of a duck's face behind the Winkies? I don't understand.
But I don't think they'd know if you asked them.
No, they just sketched some duck heads.
They had one night to record. There we go. The video's over. They had one night to record it in the shopping mall. Obviously. They had 2 hours after closing time. Music. See, all these people were involved in it. Look, Veronique, Muriel, Sylvia, Ferry, Fred.
They're quite a lot.
Son, Image, Renan, Levan, Kim.
That's amazing. I never imagined that we'd actually uncover the fucking pop video for the Winkie song.
The very gift of this in its existence
amazing,
is
Paul.
Just
amazing,
beautiful. And so, as a parting gift, I could not be happy with the way this has turned out.
But what it makes me realise as well, like the Winkie badge, toy, whatever, jewellery, may have not had a chance of really taking off in America, but from the strength of that that video, it had less than no chance. It wasn't even available. I mean, what?
No.
Crikey.
And it's fascinating to me that at the end of the day, this began because you found a strange little vinyl record in a charity shop.
It wasn't a charity shop, Paul. I said at the beginning.
Oh, sorry, in a record store, sorry. You found it in a record store. And between then and now, we've learned about the people's lives this toy affected. In fact, the only thing not really connected to the story is the song in the first place.
Yeah.
It exists in this bubble.
I know, it's so bizarre.
Bizarre.
What it makes me think about is there was so much stuff in the 80s that they just threw so much shit against the wall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was the era of like Reaganomics and the kind of, build your own business and fight for yourself. It was like the rejection of society, and it was more like, self-independence and self-preservation. And so when it comes to Winkie and someone like Lawrence Lynn, it's like, right, I've got the money, I'm going to burn it on this idea. Right, that didn't work, fuck it, I'm going to use it on this idea. It didn't work, right, I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah. But the idea itself, the thing itself, the Winkie, becomes this sort of crystallized fossil of all of the kind of cultural trends and things that were going on at the time. It's bizarre.
In many respects, it's like a microcosm of just toy trends and fashion trends in the 80s altogether.
Yeah.
This one was like a flash in the pan. It was born in the late 84 and died in late 85, but between then you had life endurances, marriages, famous artists, nightclubs, celebrities. You had this weird conflation, and yet because of the fact that everything was so disposable in the 80s and ephemeral, it got lost in time. It's like we pointed out that when we bought one for the podcast and then listeners of the podcast began buying them from the same seller, he reached out to, I think it was Yvonne, and said, did someone mention this badge on a podcast? Because I keep selling. I've sold out.
Yeah, I've sold.
And the price went up.
It might be more popular now than it even was back in 84, Paul.
People probably know about Winkie now than it did in 85 and 84. So, one way or the other, I just thought this was such an amazing story. And I thought, ultimately, it was worth telling this way. And there's still so much we don't know. We don't know about Lawrence Lynn. We don't know who designed it. We don't know how many were sold.
I'd like more information on the design process. That's missing.
Yeah. Just one more thing in regards to speaking to Laurent is that he mentioned something right at the end of the interview, and I don't know if you picked up on this, because I got the impression from him that he thought the badge was meant to be a nightclub thing, and he even said maybe it was like originally, I mean, this is just him guessing, but he presumed it was like a gay nightclub scene. And then when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, well, like you used to have at university, those red light, green light nights, and this has a red light and green light. Is it meant to be
what's a red light
nightclub accessory?
Paul, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with a red light, green light night. Is that like you fancy them, you put the green light on, and then they come and frottage you? Or
it was one of those horrible things that you did at university where you went to a club night and it was always advertised as a traffic light night or something.
Yeah, right.
So if you wore a red badge or you had a red sticker on, it meant, don't chat me up, I'm just here to hang out, sod off. If you had an amber, you were like, maybe.
Oh, God.
And if you
had a green, you were like, come on, I'll take all comers.
I will swallow each and every load in this room.
Oh, God. That's like a sex party. Why didn't I ever have one of those?
I don't know, but it was a particularly gross
We didn't
thing.
have those in Norwich.
No, I can't imagine they did.
It's like a foam party.
He thought the badge might have been a nightclub accessory. Do you think maybe that was what Winkie was trying to do? Like sell it at his nightclub so people could wear it and be trendy, or?
He wanted it to be trendy. I mean, Paul, look at the facts. He wanted it to be trendy. He wanted it to catch on, didn't he? And he was a nightclub owner and a sort of nightlife sort of person, from what I pick up, wasn't he?
Entrepreneur, kind of P.T. Barnum character, a bit of Wizard of Oz, a bit of a Svengali, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but it's the club scene thing. He's almost like in the club scene, which was big then, you know.
I don't specifically think it was like a gay icon badge thing, or that was the intention.
No.
But it does strike me that it could have been a nightclub thing.
The idea could have come from there. For sure. We just don't know, though, Paul, do we?
We just don't know. And that's the thing about Winkie. In some respects, we'll probably just never really know everything.
No, we won't know everything. And Paul, but we might find out more along the road, down the road sometime.
Well, if we end up stumbling across something way down on that road, we'll report it to you here on CheapShow.
Well, we certainly will. And it's almost like the enigmatic Winkie is winking at us enigmatically to say, you don't know. You know, there's more. There's more.
There's more. Come here. There's more. Yeah, that's right. Winkie is the comedian from Ireland, Jimmy Cricket.
He's anything you want it to be, Paul. He's anything you want it to be. And also, I'd like to know a bit more, if we could get anything on what happened to Sherry.
Exactly. There are still so many mysteries. But for now, June 2020, this is as complete as the story as we can tell.
Yes.
Hey, I'd love to turn this into a proper TV, Netflixy kind of documentary. So if anyone listening wants to help out with that, give me your number.
Great.
I won't end the podcast with that line because that's just awful. But I do want to end with some thank yous. So first of all, Eli, you brought the gift of CheapShow to us all. So really, you are
the gift of Winkie. Take that. Say that again. Say that again.
You brought me, your friend, Paul, a big gift, and that big gift was a nice big Winkie. You brought Winkie into my life, and I've embraced it.
My pleasure, Paul. I'm glad. Always on the lookout, but I don't know if I'll ever find a record with such a unique and strange genesis ever again.
Well, almost. You know, Space Boogie, that song from the guy who had the restaurant, the Chippy.
Victory Cafe, yeah.
That just happened to clash with Winkie on that day. Because otherwise, that's also another story we might want to investigate one day.
Yes. Yeah, it didn't really... It was like, Careless Whisper getting kept off number one, wasn't it? Because it was...
It's Ultravox's Vienna being kept off the spot by Joe Dolce's Shut Up in Your Face.
Yeah.
So thank you to Eli. I want to say thank you to Ross Hudson, who gave us the badges and gave me some background into the design. I want to thank the usual cheapskates, Yvonne, Tony, Denny and Pseudo Sapien. They in all the different ways they've helped me put this show together. Tony with his art, Yvonne, Denny and Pseudo Sapien with links to all the patent information and Winkie Doctor information and Lawrence Lynn information. So I want to say thank you to them. Obviously, thank you to Jeff Olan, Penny, and Laurent, who helped us out with this episode. And I think that's it. I think that's it. Thank you as well for supporting this podcast, if you have done, for the past 5 years.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday, Paul.
Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday.
And we can only hope that another charity shop or another record shop or Poundland in the future gives us a story as rich as this. But we just don't know.
No.
That's the magic and mystery of CheapShow.
Ooh.
And if you'd like to help support us financially in a small or large way, you can go to patreon.com/CheapShow and only give if you can afford to. Don't if you can't. If you can't, spread the word because that's just as valuable.
Thanks very much if you are.
Pictures and videos to accompany this episode are on the cheapshow.co.uk website. Follow us at the CheapShow Pod on Twitter. I'm at Paul Gannon Show. Eli is
Eli Snoid. ELISNOID.
We do Twitch. It's called CheapShow, etc. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Just look for CheapShow. You'll find us. Other than that, thank you to everyone who supported and listened to us over the past 5 years. We'll keep on rocking. And, I've got no ending for this episode.
You don't ever have an ending for any episode.
I know how to end it. We'll play ourselves out with us singing Winkie. Okay. So how about, Eli, you introduce us top of the pop style as we end this episode with the song that began it all, Winkie, but in English.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was Dexy's Midnight Runners. And now we're going to go to the number one spot. It's those two CheapShow boys. What a pair of dickheads they are, but I don't care. And here they are with their version of Winkie.
He blinks red and green. He's heading straight to Earth. Do not panic. He's trying to speak.
That's the Winkie.
Who, the Winkie?
The Winkie. If you're feeling pretty low, he will come and he will go. With his music, he will make your heart glow. That's the Winkie.
It's the Winkie.
The Winkie.
Let's go green and move your feet. Don't be red and feel the beat. Celebrate this creature, electronic future. Winkie, 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 Winkie's come from somewhere up above. He's energetic, full of love. A trendy little circuit who knows how to work it. Winkie, 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 Winkie. Paris, Tokyo, London, New York. Contact. You'll never feel alone with the Winkie.
The Winkie?
Oh, that Winkie. With Winkie, it's simple. Stay away from red, go green, and it all becomes clear. It's the Winkie.
The Winkie?
Oh, yeah. Let's go green and move your feet. Don't be red and feel the beat. Celebrate creature, electronic future. Winkie, 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 Winkie. He's come from somewhere up above, and he's energetic, full of love. A trendy little circuit who knows how to work it. Winkie, 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 oh Winkie.
Fucking Winkie.
It's that Winkie, Winkie. Oh, let's do a breakdown. Sexy. Oh, he's such a tease.
Funny.
Makes me go weak at the knees. Oh, that naughty Winkie.
Naughty Winkie.
He makes you laugh, makes you sour. I hope he hangs out for a while. Do you mean the Winkie?
I do mean the Winkie.
I meant the Winkie.
Oh, yeah, the Winkie.
Let's go green and move your feet. Don't be red and feel the beat. Celebrate this creature, electronic future. Winkie, 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 Winkie's come from somewhere up above. He's energetic, full of love. A trendy little circuit who knows how to work it. Winkie, 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 Winkie. Yeah. And that's the Winkie song, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, I am Winkie. Thank you for listening to my story. Goodbye.